All right, man. Cool. We live right now.
Let's do it.
What up from behind the booth? This is my homeboy, DJ Estradation.
Pleasure. What up? What up?
And I just wanted to say, to everybody who's listening right now, welcome back. I know that I kind of been the whole show's been on hiatus for a minute, especially with this COVID thing. It really just threw a wrench in everybody's lives, I feel like, and as optimistic and resilient as I am, even got to me, and then for the past, it's kind of funny. So I haven't done an episode in the time frame that I've been at a new job. I got a new job over the pretty much over this time frame. So yeah, man, like with that whole thing, I just I've been working straight through. So I just checked, like when you're doing your set, I checked like the last episode, and it was exactly 2 months ago, and that's like exactly like how long I've been at my job. So I've been working, Monday through Thursday, and then I've been DJing on the weekends, and we'll get to all that, but I just wanted to do that as my little disclaimer type of thing. My bad, guys. I miss you guys. I really do. But enough about me. Let's talk about this guy right here, this gentleman who decided to come and visit me and do the show amongst all this shit that's going on. I really appreciate it, man, for sure.
Yeah. What an honor to be here, man. I mean, 2 months without from behind the booth. I'm sure, you miss it. And then here I am and honoring the new episode, the COVID episode, we're still going through the pandemic. So it's kind of cool that.
Let's like we always do with all the show, I want to take it from the top, especially with you, because we've known each other for a little bit, but
Right.
like we haven't had too many of these, like these one-on-one conversations and like just like real in-depth talks with each other,
Right.
I mean, as much as like we have respect and appreciation for each other, we just just the way that things have been, we just haven't been able to, right?
Yeah, I get you. No, absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, first off, I'll just start off by saying, dude, dope set. Like, that was awesome. That was one of my first times hearing you, live at least. I know that I've seen you on your your video stuff, like your Estradation IG live stuff.
Right.
But that was like my first time seeing you, up in person, and it's cool.
Yeah.
Like, I love seeing that, and I feel like that piece, because some people have tried to get me to remove that piece, but I really do feel that piece is an important part. Like, for some people, it adds a little bit of validity to the person.
Right.
Not only like is this person like preaching something, but he also practices what he preaches. So like.
Right.
Yeah, it's one thing to say you're a DJ, but it's another thing to kind of show out and like do it, And yeah, right when you pulled up, I was like, "Are you cool with like this mixer, blah blah?" You're like, "Yeah, man, just pretty much start it up. Let's do it."
Yeah.
And yeah, you definitely got to it, man. Did you prepare that, or was that fucking free ball?
No, so it was I mean, you told me, it was funny when you hit me up about the show. You're like, we're trying to go back and forth. We're like, are we gonna just do a talking segment, or are we all gonna do a full episode? And I was like, I don't know, man, up to you. And you're like, you know what, prep a set. And it's life, So I was like, okay, I'm gonna prep a set. And then finally the day came and I didn't prep a set. So pretty much what I did, I just put a bunch of of my favorite songs together.
Right.
Some of the transitions that I've done in the past that I know
Right.
that work, just to kind of show my style. You
Yeah.
know? I'm a big Latin guy. I
Yeah.
love Latin, but I can kind of just mix it all up and
Yeah.
and do that. But yeah, I was like, you know what? Let's go off of this. These are the songs that are hitting right now.
Right.
They're Latin.
Yeah.
They have a lot of cool little flavors and stuff.
Yeah.
On there. So yeah, I just kind of just like, let's go, one take. This is what I know. I know your music. I know my music.
You do.
So let's do it. And this is what we did.
Yeah, you do, and I like that, man. I like that. You did some. I really felt I like the flow of it. Just being fucking. I don't know, like in so deep with DJing.
Right.
Being so passionate, especially working at a DJ school. Like, bro, I like eat, breathe, and sleep DJing. I really
Yeah.
do. Fucking like all the people I follow on Instagram are DJs, blah blah. Like, we go on about that forever, but so I appreciate certain things, and yeah, I really did like the flow of your set, and even if like some of those things are kind of like routine, that's tight to me because, you know, I was on a episode a couple days ago, the working DJ podcast, with DJ SMS, DJ Demo, and my bad guys. I don't know the rest of the other guys that are like that. They're the regulars because I know SMS definitely is on it, and it's like his show, but I don't know if it's solely his show.
Okay.
But anyways, like we were kind of talking about the fact that like one of my kind of pet peeves is like I feel like when DJs do really cool stuff on Instagram or on YouTube or wherever, the fact that they're doing really cool tricks, and then when you go see them, they don't do any of that. Like to me, that's kind of like I feel like it's like false advertising.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like though. I mean, this is an exaggerated version, but it's the whole notion of, you know, Red Bull gives you wings. Like no, it doesn't. Yeah. You know, but that's what you advertise, and that's kind of the same kind of concept. Like, you know, if someone's always, you know, for me, example, like if I'm always doing these cool things, but then when you see me, I never do any of them. Like I would be pretty disappointed.
Right.
You know, so that is something that kind of bothers me, and I mean, honestly. And it's kind of funny because I feel like you don't really advertise that a lot. Like I don't see you doing like routine videos a lot.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't. Yeah.
But it was kind of a pleasant surprise. Like, oh, I didn't know that he gets down like that. You know, like, and it was cool to see you like actually, you know, like to get flavorful with it rather than just like I could just sit up here and just A and B it. You know, and A and Bing, I know I kind of said it in like a negative connotation, but. There is people that have like really good selection that just do A and B, and it's a fucking dope like thing to watch, you know.
Okay.
And they'll get kind of crazy with like filters or effects or like even just like kind of popping in and out of songs. Like kind of like I know this a couple times you went like that with the fader where you were kind of like letting the other song in, and you were letting this song, and you're kind of flip flopping, you know. And that's just mixing, right? You know, air quotes for those who are listening, just mixing, but. You know, it makes it exciting. Yeah. You know, and I like that you incorporated that, and you definitely showcased that, and you know, for the audio like listeners who just listen, they will be, you know, more than happy with that. But then also like visually, like it will be entertaining to watch that visually, and you know, we do record it with the video, so it's dope. Like you reach the full like realm of the spectrum right there. You know. Yeah. So that was dope, man. And like I said, usually the way I always start these things is I do like to kind of take it to the top. So I am curious, you know, like how long you've been DJing, and you know, where did it all start? You know, if your family is like into music, or if you ever like played, you know. So yeah, we could go down that road.
Yeah, let's do it. So yeah, I've been doing it for about like 10 to 12 years. Mm-hmm. I would say. Like legit DJ, if we want to talk like DJ with like, you know, DJ. You know, because when I started, I should go back. I mean, I started when I was 15. A homeboy of mine came over. He brought his iPod controller over. You know, back in remember the iPods, those fat iPods. So
it's kind of funny. We're like dating ourselves. People are like, the younger guys are like, iPods. What are these?
What's an iPod?
What are these grandpas talking about?
Yeah, so those fat iPods, and then I forgot what it was, but it was think of it as a controller. You put your iPod on this dock. And
I'm pretty sure, I seen
two little platters. It was by like Newmark.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, kind of.
Yeah, so he brought it over, and he's like messing around doing his thing. And for my 15th birthday, my parents got me an iMac. Those big, you know, the screen, it's like 20-inch screen, and then just a keyboard and a mouse. And so my homeboy was like, yo, like this has a USB out. Like if you download music, you know, like, let's test it out. So here we are on a virtual DJ on my new iMac, connecting this, you know, iPod controller to it with like 10 songs we downloaded really fast on LimeWire. And at that time, David Guetta was big. The song "Sexy Bitch" was out. Afrojack.
Wait, real quick. So, question. So, you're saying with the iMac, you can control like the little platters?
You know, like with virtual DJ. So, like, I didn't know about this stuff. He knew more. Obviously, he had the iPod controller. And he kind of knew about. He had like, it was a homeboy of mine, so he knew about DJing and all that.
But that's cool. Like, did it control? I was trying to like place it together, like how it all worked together. Yeah. But yeah, so you pretty much, you know, it's kind of like So for the average like people, it's like. The little DJ controller thing was actually like a controller that worked with
a computer, because it had a little USB out, like the current controllers that we have.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So like here we are connecting it to like virtual DJ and like somehow getting it to work with like 10 songs that we downloaded really fast, like Afrojack, David Guetta.
And on virtual, because I never used virtual DJ as like an actual interface. I only used it like kind of like you would use Serato when it was unplugged.
Gotcha.
You know?
Yeah.
So with that, you could actually like scratch
Yeah,
and shit.
so we had to go through like some like crazy illegal torrent stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we figured it out.
Oh, yeah, some crack shit.
Yeah, until we got it. We had to download like some weird skins. I don't know what it was, but we got it to work, you know? So we didn't have the full functionality of like virtual DJ, but like just the fact that like you could scratch.
Oh, yeah,
and, like,
yeah.
you know, and put a volume up and put the volume down. So that's where it started, man. Once I saw what I could do with that iMac, I was like...
And that guy, like, did he know what he was doing, or...
Kinda, yeah. So apparently his dad
like...
was like an old school vinyl DJ, and then he kind of caught it up, and he got.
And his dad bought him that, bro. That's an insult.
Yeah, no, I know, right? Yeah, that's what. But he knew what he was doing, though.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, you know, you're young, you have an iPod, and you're like, oh, this is cool, you know. So we were in that era when you're like 15, you're barely getting your, your phone and your iPod and all that. So yeah, that's what kind of got it. So come Christmas, I was like, you know what? Like, I want a controller. You know, so it was like I'm an August baby, so I got my iMac in August. So I have like, you know, like 4 months to kind of convince my parents, like, hey, like I want a DJ controller, you know. So I gotta be good.
You gotta plant the seed.
Yeah, you gotta plant. Yeah. So you know, come.
You're like, sure would be nice if come Christmas, you know, I had a nice controller with this computer.
Right. Yeah, so I was, I was doing my research. So the only brand that I knew about, I don't know anything about DJing on 15. Right. I just saw my friend do this on my 15th birthday in August. So when I asked him, like, what brand is this? He's like, Newmark. So I was like, okay. So all I knew about was like, go on Google and let's look up Newmark.
Right.
So I go on Newmark and I like, you know, just try to find the thing that looks closest to that controller that he has. And it was this like little, I don't even know how to explain it. It looked like a freaking laptop. You know, 2 little platters, 2 channels. It didn't even have effects, and that was it. It had like 4 little cue pads or, you know, pads on it, and you would like press it and it would do that. And so I bought it, and it came with Tractor. So it came with a full subscription of Tractor. So I started, you know, virtual DJ with that, and then I moved into Tractor. And so for a while I was trying to, you know, master Tractor.
Right.
Tractor. And yeah, I got it. And so the next couple of years, that's what it was, man. It was like Tractor, till I about hit 17. Once I was 17, I had bought these, like kind of like the KRKs, but from like downtown LA, like the bootleg KRKs, you know, like small little 8-inch speaker.
Right.
2 of them, and I hooked it up to my little controller. I still had it, and so I would annoy the hell out of my neighbors, man. Like just trying to mix and trying to like mimic. At that time, you remember DJ Blend? You know, wearing his Chucky mask and, you know, just trying to like emulate what he's doing. You know, like with his sets and, you know, looking up DJ Blend stuff, and I would try to do it. So my neighbor would always come over and he'd always be complaining like, hey man, like could you turn it down? You know, because I'm like bumping it. I'm trying to be like the next DJ Blend over here. You know. Yeah. And it's funny because then it got to a point where his birthday came up, and he's like, hey, man, like, I see you play music all the time, like, blah, 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 blah,
blah. Hey, so why don't you put yourself to use?
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. He's like, yo, you're fucking playing shit every day. Why don't you come over here for my party and fucking play some shit?
Right. So, you know, homeboy comes over, and he's like, you know, he's telling me, he's like, yo, like, I'm going to have a barbecue with some friends and family. Like, you know, are you down to come play? And I was like, wow, like, okay, I guess.
He's like, you better say that. You've been putting up with your shit for the past couple months.
Right, yeah. So he was probably pretty pissed, and he's like, oh, this might be awkward. Like, I'm asking him, you know? So I was like, yeah, you know.
He was, like I said, he was just at that whole, like, it's the least this fucking guy could do.
Yeah. For annoying the crap out of me every day, yeah. So here we are, Saturday, on his, like, you know, 43rd birthday. I'm like, going with my little table, little controller, and taking my iMac, you know.
And your Chucky mask?
Yeah. I wish I had a Chucky mask. That would have been awesome, dude. But, you know, it's funny because you're carrying a freaking iMac, a keyboard, and a mouse. You know, like the screen, you know, like setting it up, and, like, people are kind of looking at you, and I have, like, my 2 little, like, wannabe KRKs on the table. Like, there I am for 6-7 hours just playing music.
You were a DJ meme, bro.
Yeah. Like you know what? I'm going to try to look for some, I know I have some pictures out there, but we got to find, I was a DJ meme.
Hey, you find the photos, dude. We'll put it to the album cover, or maybe we'll put it to the green screen backdrop.
Oh, I'm gonna really dig into that, man.
Like right when you do the ending, it's gonna say DJ Estradation. It's gonna pop up you fucking with the iMac in the background.
Oh my man, you know what? I'm gonna send you my first drops too, man. man. Oh, those things are hilarious, bro.
I have some bad first drops here. And I have I know somewhere, I have an old hard drive that kind of, the port on it broke, but the memory is still intact inside, right? So if I ever fix that, which I've been longing to do, but I know it has old photos of me DJing. I know for sure it has an old, like, card thing, too, that I made.
Yeah.
And I remember, I'm such an idiot, bro. There was one gig where, like, dude, it was a house party, and it was fucking hot, like, so hot, bro. So I took my shirt off. And I mean, like I said, it was like a kid's house party, so I thought that I was being sexy and shit.
Right.
So I took my shirt off, and there's a photo of me from my fucking skinny ass, like, DJing. Shirtless,
nice.
Bro. I look like I'm 100 pounds. I have the big ass, like, DJ coffin in front of me. And then, like I said, I photoshopped it because I was gonna make it into a business card for whatever dumbass reason. And the background, I made it like in a black and white, like, brick type of background, and then I put DJ Wally on the back.
Yeah, dude,
it's
how
terrible,
are your Photoshop skills there, huh?
Dude, I kind of did have that because you know why? Like, genuine truth, guys. MySpace days. I used to make I don't think I ever really talked about this, but I used to make they were called divs. Do you remember those?
What are they called?
So they were like, I know people that are not in MySpace. They're like, what is that? So pretty much in the condensed version, it was. So, you know, like, let's just say, like, if you visit someone's Facebook page, you know, you can click on the friends and you can look at all their shit, right? Well, MySpace was super condensed, so it had like photos, it had a top 8, it had a comment section, and then. It just had
song.
like,
remember
like your song. Like, that was the main things on your page, right? That was like your page consisted of. So because it was a lot like less than Facebook, like, you couldn't view like where they were working, or that was only kind of like an option. But anyways, so what I would do is I would make like essentially it was a photo, and then I would put little things on there, and then every little thing on there that I specifically put was like a hyperlink.
Oh.
So, like, it would be like, let's just say, for example, like, I made my homie one, and he loves soccer. So his was a soccer field. It was him, like, in his soccer uniform, and it was just the back of him. So he was, like, facing the field. And then, like, I don't remember where I put things. I think I just put them right next to him. So, like I said, it's him. I'm trying to paint a picture, too, for those who are listening.
Yeah.
But it's him. It's a field. And then, like, on the left and right, it said, like, friend request, message, it had his song, and stuff like that. So I learned a little bit of Photoshop skills, like, fucking with that. And I also, you know what, it even, on a little side hustle, I was, like, making them for people, for, like,
so
money.
Dope. Yeah.
A little bit, you know, and it was nothing crazy, but that was one of the coolest ways to stand out. Like, if you knew how to do that, your page was way fucking cooler than a regular MySpace. Because, you know, they had, like, the custom layout maker type of thing.
That's what I would use, a custom layout maker.
But, you know, there was, like, it was very limited as to what you can do, and some shit would look kind of shitty, you know? So, like, I was always known for having, like, cool ones, you know? Yeah. And it's funny because, like, my friend showed me, and he was, like, a senior, and he showed me, and he's like, hey, bro, but, like, you know, kind of don't show this because... like, the exclusiveness, what makes it cool. Like, if you show everybody, then it's gonna lose its coolness, you know. So I was like, all right, I got you. So sure enough, like I said, I was selling them for a little bit, and then because I was selling them, even if they had them, just because I made them, they didn't know how to do it. They didn't know how to, like, remake it. So it was like they'd have to come back to me to remake it.
Yeah.
But I did show one of my homies who's, like, tech savvy, and for whatever reason, bro, like, I told him the same thing. I was like, hey, man, like, it's exclusive, you know, like, and make sure your pages look kind of cool.
Yeah.
Dude, this guy would make the dumbest fucking pages, bro. Like, Jacob, if you're listening, bro, you know that you're fucking guilty. I don't remember specifically what he did, because I remember he made some stupid ones, bro. But I remember giving him a hard time. I was like, bro, why did you make this? And he's like, it's funny, isn't it? I was like, no, it's stupid. Like, but he wasn't, like, really and he would openly say this, but he wasn't really that popular. Right. So he's like, bro, no one's going to see it. Like, it doesn't matter, you know? But it was just funny. I was like,
the 10 friends that's on it.
Bro, like, You got the cool kids with all these
Yeah.
cool ass ones, and then he would make like these stupid. I guess maybe he was making them in like the anti sense, like, you bitches think you're cool, but I know how to do it. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna make like a fucking parody one,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, he was doing his own parodies.
I don't know.
That's
I don't know if he. I mean, he genuinely, because of the person he is. It could have been one of those two things. Like, it could have been a parody thing, or it could have just been like he's just a goofball, so he just legit like wanted to make that. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah. I mean, like I said, back to the whole where that comes full circle is just the fact that like I have that picture somewhere. I think in that hard drive where I look like a fucking.
We have to find it.
100-pound DJ
Yeah.
looking like a dumbass.
That would be awesome to see, man.
But yeah, man. You so like you said, you were a DJ meme at one point.
Yeah, I
you know?
really was, man.
But I know I've talked about this with other episodes, but man, like you work with what you got.
Yeah,
and
right.
We kind of touched on it a little bit, and for you guys didn't get to hear that part earlier. But somebody recently messaged me, and they were asking me like, "Oh, where's the studio at, and how do you do all the podcast stuff?" And it's like, man, today's day and age, like if you have a phone, you pretty much could kind of do anything.
Right.
Like you could record with a phone, you could stream live, you could do a green screen. That's how the fuck we do this thing. Like the sky is the limit today with the phone.
Yeah, and there's like YouTube and there's like Google, so I'm like sure that that's where you started, and then if you needed any help, like you kind of reach out to see somebody that knows how to do it, and you're like, hey, have you done this?
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know your ass is about that for sure, dude.
Oh yeah.
All right, so let's go back. So you're. I think you said you were 17, right? And you started doing that with
my
the
neighbor's house, and he's like all annoyed, and he asked me to DJ.
Did a
and,
6-hour party.
Yeah, and here I am, my first gig, and I'm like, cool,
How much you get paid?
So that's the thing that's funny so here comes the end of the night, right?
Right.
And I'm like, all right, it's like 11:30, everybody's leaving. I know it's time to pack up and go,
Right.
And he comes over to me, and he just like he didn't even ask, like he just goes and he just gives me like an envelope. And I I pack, I go home, and I open up the envelope, and there's like, 2 20s and like 2 5s.
Oh, okay.
Oh. So I was like, okay, cool, $50. And in my mind, I'm like, dude, like, this is awesome. Like, when he came and he asked me, he's just like, yo, can you come play? And I was like, I didn't talk about this. So I'm like, cool. So
yeah, we weren't business.
Yeah, we weren't in business. Bro, I'm 17, man. I'm like focusing on high school, what's going to, what's going to happen next for me and stuff. And so it's like, we fast forward a couple months. And I have somebody else calling me from that was there, and they're like, yo, like, can you come play at this get together that we have? So they asked me, what are your prices? So keep in mind, I don't know what I'm supposed to charge. So in my mind, I'm like, well, I got an envelope with $50. So what am I gonna say? I'm like, $50.
Yeah.
So like they call and they're like, well, how much you charge? Like $50. So we literally went like a whole year, like just like, oh, how much you charge? How much you charge? $50. $50. It's like, I don't know, so it got
No, there's there's no, and that's what we love about the podcast is the fact that I got DJs that are fucking vets. Like I mean, dude, honestly, we're vets now, bro. We're like 10 years deep, we're vets. But there's DJs that definitely have been in the game longer than us that listen, and there's DJs that have just started that listen. And either way, there's something to be learned, and there's definitely no shame because when in the beginning, like you said, you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
And so I love that openness, and even like a couple episodes, I talked about my prices like publicly, like I said what I charge, and like there's not a lot of DJs that would do that because you worry about other people like low undercutting you, blah blah, right? Or even like judgment, like people are like, "Wow, in the podcast you said you only charge $650 or whatever," and I think that's bullshit. I think you should be charging at least $2,000 because that's how much I charge, and it's like,
yeah, I get you. Yeah, you get into.
I won't even get into that. I won't get into that. But like I said, I like the openness and all that stuff. It's a learning experience because people. There probably are people that right now they've been charging $50 and like they start through through them DJing and then you learning how much work comes with it, which is I'm sure what ended up happening.
Oh man,
after that year, you learn. You're like, all right, like $50 cool, man, but this ain't cutting it.
Yeah,
which I'm sure like. Did that happen or
Oh, absolutely. So it got to a point where like
is that so like you did a year of that?
Yeah, like about a year, right before I was about to turn 18, we did it up to that, and it got to a point where like I was doing like 1 or 2 gigs a month, you know, from like just word of mouth.
Same system and everything?
Same system,
Okay.
same thing.
Yeah.
But what was getting annoying for my parents is, keep in mind, I don't drive. You know, I'm not driving. I'm still in high school. So it's like, it got to a point where like gigs were getting out of the city. Like when they were local, my parents wouldn't mind. Like, okay, I'm going to drop you off. What time should I pick you up? I asked like, hey, what time, you know, is this over? They're like, oh, so-and-so time. So
Especially DJ hours because they're at night.
Oh, right,
you know?
right.
So like it would be one thing if it was, you know, 2 to 6. But when it's like starts at 8, ends at 2 in the morning, like,
Yeah.
I mean, motherfucker, you better get a ride or some shit.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm like charging $50. My
Yeah.
parents are taking me, and then like my dad really sat down with me and he was like, yo, like, it's starting to sound like you have a business here, you know? He'd see me every day, you know, after school, playing around with my controller. I'm looking at videos. I'm downloading music. I'm going to these gigs, you know, trying to perform, you know, do my thing. And, you know, it's like, yo, like you know, we have stuff to do too, you know, like you might want to think about, you know, changing it. And so it got to a point where I'm like, I'm seeing DJ Blend, you know, I'm seeing all these other DJs, you know, Epic 12 and stuff. And, you know, they're posting videos on YouTube and I'm seeing this and I'm like, how can I like go and like present myself like with an iMac, you know, and this little controller. So my dad was like, you know what, like, I'm going to let you borrow some money. He's like, you're already making $50, you know, if you save that up and, you know, we can get you some equipment. So, you know, he took out a credit card, you know, shout out to Pop Estradation.
Shout out to the Pops, man.
We bought some Gemini speakers. I don't know if you remember the brand Gemini. We bought some Gemini speakers. I bought some Gemini turntables. I had a Newmark mixer, all to work with, you know, Tractor at the time, because I'm still running Tractor. That's all I kind of learned and videos that I'm looking at. And I remember I think the turning point was it's towards the end of high school for me. My dad helps me buy that equipment. I'm Spanish club president. You know, we had a Spanish club in high school, and we had this annual dance called Salsa Night. So we would like, you know, get all the whatever local DJs, you know, every year somebody would know somebody's uncle that was a DJ and he'd come over and he'd play all that Spanish music and stuff. So at that time it was EDM was huge. It was like blowing up. I used to listen to Mega 96.3 or Latino 96.3. It used to be called Latino 96.3. You know, DJ Eddie One is on there.
Yeah.
At the time, DJ Scream with a K was huge in Latino 96.3. Yeah, DJ Scream with a K. I remember that. And so, you know, I wanted to kind of leave high school with a bang. So I'm like, who can I get, you know, to DJ this, you know, dance and just kind of be like cool, you know, like, and so everybody's listening to Latino 96.3. So I reach out and, you know, homeboy comes and we set up a meeting, you know, he comes with like his manager and, you know, we get his rate, we sign the contract and we have DJ Scream, you know, so he comes and promotes during lunch, you know, so he comes with like a cool, like, you know, some 1200s. And at the time, you know, remember I think it was the SM58, you know, and he's got like all this cool, crazy stuff and he's doing his thing. And so after, you know, we're just sitting down by the benches. I remember we ditched fifth period because we wanted to hang out with DJ Scream. We were hanging out with somebody from the radio, you know, like that's huge, you know, for a 17-year-old. And, you know, we're just talking about DJing and he's like, oh, I heard you're a DJ. I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm DJing. And, that was the turning point because we're having this conversation and I'm asking all these questions about his equipment because I kind of want to take it to that level, right? And so I tell him, oh, I got these Gemini, you know, turntables and this Newmark mixer. And he's like, what are you running? I'm like, Tractor. And then he asked me this question that he was like, are your turntables belt drive or are they direct drive? You know? And I'm like, well, they're belt drive. And right away he's like, I remember he gave it to me blunt. And he's like, you better return those. And like in my mind, I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, those things are shit. Like, you know, belt drive turntables. He's like, it's like, I forgot how he kind of explained it, but he was like, it's like driving a Ferrari with a Nissan motor. You know, something like that, something along those lines. And man, you're 17 and you hear this from like, you know, this guy and he gives it to you straight. And like that hurt, you know, to hear because it's like, bro, like that's all I can afford, you know? So I'm like, what does he mean belt drive and direct drive? You know, so here goes Eric, you know, going online again and you know, started learning that, oh, okay, like Technique 1200s, like, you know, those are direct drive, you know, they use this motor, belt drive turntables use this, like, you know, this like elastic on it. And so that was a turning point where I was like, okay, like if you want to be like that DJ Blend, if you want to be like that DJ Scream, like this is what you got to do.
Right.
You know? So here I am on Craigslist, man. I'm trying to find some turntables. I'm trying to find some stuff. I'm about to graduate high school. I want to be that next DJ Blend, that DJ Scream. And sure enough, what does Eric do? He goes to his dad. I'm like, Dad, look, I found this on Craigslist. This guy's selling this. I'm like, and he doesn't know about DJ equipment. So he's like, wow, like you already have these. Like they look, almost identical. It's just like different colors, I'm like DJ Scream said, like these are the ones, like, like you have to do this. Like this is what everybody's doing. So obviously it took some convincing.
Right.
900 each technique.
Oh yeah.
So for my dad, I really.
They're brand new.
They were used.
Regulars?
They were used. Yeah. I got some
What year is
MK
this?
1210s.
What year is this?
2011. Because I graduated high school 2011. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I got like some technique 1210 MKs.
That's around the same time
Yeah.
that I got. Yeah, I guess so. That sounds about right. Yeah.
So here I am with my black turntables, techniques. We go to the guy's house, we pick them up, and then boom, Now I got this Newmark mixer.
So your dad dished out the money for that?
He dished out the money, $1,800 cash, man.
And that was like he had already just bought you the other shit?
And he had just bought me the Geminis. But keep in mind, the Geminis were 100, 100 each. They're belt drive turntables. You know what I mean? Like we got them in downtown LA, and guys just trying to sell. And he's like, no, yeah, dude, these are turntables. They're like what the DJs are using. I don't know any better. Yeah, they are turntables.
They are turntables.
Yeah, he got this little Newmark mixer, and he's like, this is what will work with this. You connect this. He's teaching me. I don't know any better.
For sure.
So we get that,
and real quick before we get too much further. So like, why do you think that your dad was like so open to all this? Like, it's pretty cool that that he was, and he was really supportive. Like I know a lot of people that. A lot of times it's the opposite. Like, like with my parents, like my parents were like DJing, like you want to do that, and it's like again, when I got into it, I think that they thought it was a phase,
gotcha.
And then like I had, when I was doing it for a year where I didn't know what I was doing, and then I found the school, and then I paid for my own classes, like with some money that I had, like through this. I don't really talk about this publicly, but I do have like I had some settlement money stuff from my mom passing away when I was early on when I was a kid.
Okay.
And so with that money, I paid for my schooling for Scratch.
Oh, gotcha.
And so, my parents didn't really have a say in that, so I didn't need their permission really. I mean, other than like, can I go? But it wasn't like I needed any money from them.
Yeah.
So whether they supported it or not was kind of really just up to me. It was really kind of up to me. Yeah. And then once I started to like really kind of go with it, I think then they caught on. But I mean, it's cool that that your dad was really, or your parents were open to it. Like, how do you explain that really?
Yeah. So you know what? I mean,
was there anything that you could speak on behalf of that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, my dad was the one with the idea of like, hey, like. You're only charging $50. Like we're taking you twice a month to like X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Like you might want to charge better, and so him having that idea of like, hey, you might want to charge more, and I'll let you borrow money. I guess he knew like, okay, like he's about to turn 18, like he's eventually gonna get a job, like he's gonna go to college, and he'll be able to pay me back. And so along those lines, like when I got all that, like I am like after every gig, I'm like, I'm up to like charging 100 to like 150 per gig now. So what I'm doing is like I'm pocketing $50 because again that's all I know, and I'm giving him 100 because I owe this guy money, from equipment and stuff. But man, my dad's been very supportive, man.
Yeah.
I don't know, even till this day, man. Like where I'm at today, I would say like a huge part of why I'm at where I'm at is because of my dad.
Yeah.
Like he's been so supportive, like especially with the whole.
You should ask him.
Yeah. No, man, I think that's...
If you haven't, you should ask him.
No, yeah. I mean, he shared it with me. Like, he knows that, like, when... I mean, my parents are from Mexico, so, like, when he came out, when they came to, like, the United States, like, they don't have anything. And so he would see stuff through TV, and in a sense, he's like, that's what I want, that's what I want, that's what I want. So finally, when he, like, got his job and everything, and he's able to kind of, like, provide all that stuff for himself, he kind of made it his mission so that like his kids wouldn't have to go through that phase of like, I wish I could have that, like more so be like, you know what, like I'm gonna instill this in them that, hey, I'm here to help, But just know that like you also have to like, you know, figure out ways of like, and I think that's where it was where he's like, I'm gonna let you borrow the money to buy the equipment, but hey, don't think that I'm just gonna hand it to you. Like you gotta learn to pay me back, you know. And so I kind of learned that from him, that it's like, oh, I know I can rely on my dad, but at the end of the day, like I also gotta give him back, you know, what it is, because
you know? No, that's cool, man. That's good, you know. And I like to point out stuff like that because, you know, the podcast is geared towards DJing, but there's a lot of other stuff that we touch on. And again, like that's what makes it all the more. You know, like you could listen to a podcast where they talk solely DJ stuff and you can get solely DJ information, but I like to dive into all that stuff. So, you know, and I think that the more that you understand about, you know, like, you know, why you think the way you do, it's just that much better for you. And you know, like also, you know, it kind of teaches you maybe some things that you could, you know, like what, you know, often like what I wonder is like what type of things do I commend my parents on and what things do I feel that they could have did better. You know, and it's like nobody's perfect, you know, but that's the goal, right? To strive for perfection, even though you know that there's not ever going to be a time where you're going to reach perfection, but it's good to strive for it. You know, shoot for the stars, land on the clouds type of deal, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so I like to highlight stuff like that, you know, and it's cool because I like other people to reflect on their own lives. Like, man, like, you know what? I never even thanked like, you know, like I'm sure you did, but you know, there could be someone in the same situation where like their pops was like the fucking rooting for them this whole time, championing them, and they never even thought to thank them.
Thank them, right?
You know. And so, like I said, I like to do that, man. I really do. And like I said, I think that the people listening appreciate the side stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely. You know? I mean, it's like it's crazy. You know, like now that you brought it up, I was like, damn, I got a little emotional because it's like, damn, like really, like I said again, like where I'm at, like really has to be like thanks to my pops, you know, because he's with the idea, but like what he instilled in me and what he taught me, you know, I think that I still use today, where it's like, you know, I provide for myself, but don't forget, like you also have to, you know, who was there to feed you along the way, you know.
I mean, it's cool. Like now you got like another like just another reason behind it all. You know, like behind like, you know, like I know I love my dad, but here's an added, like, if I ever get into question as to why I love my dad, like, yo, like, this is a big piece right here. And, you know, understanding that foundation, like I said, it is important. Like, and it also, you can give yourself a little pat on the back, or, like, it's kind of a reminder to yourself, you know? If, like, for example, me going to Scratch, I give myself a pat on the back every once in a while because I was like, dude, I was 18, and you know, I was driving from, you know, San Bernardino to LA every Saturday morning, and then like Monday through Friday I was going to school, and then Saturday nights, like usually I was DJing, you know, so I was doing all that, and so like when I look back and I'm like, man, you did that was dope, you know, good for you, good, I'm glad you did that. And same thing, like if that had not had happened, I probably wouldn't be where I am today, you know. So it's a good thing, you know. People say like never look back. I think it's okay to look back, but don't dwell on it, you know. Like look back as like an acknowledgement and understand it, you know, for what it was, whether it was like a learning lesson or, you know, something an accomplishment. But it's just important to not dwell on it, you know. Like even though, you know, like your business is where it is, and like I said, we'll get to that. You know, it would be so counterproductive. Like if you did all this and you're like, okay, cool, I'm done, and then, you know, like you just call it a day, and that's not the way that, you know, life works. Like
you're right.
Got to keep going because, and this is getting a little bit deeper, but it's like if everything only needed to get done one time, then again, like life would be, you know, pointless. Like you could literally do everything one time, and then you'd be done with it. But the purpose of like, or the importance of the fact that every day kind of like has to be like a kind of go at it and get it type of deal. That's what makes like life like worth living. Right.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
It's getting deep in here, people.
Yeah, it's getting real deep, man. Deep. Yeah.
But again, it does, because you know, and I think some people envision that as a perfect world. Like, man, I wish I could just do this, blah blah. And then, man, life would be so dull. Like if you were content with, you know, and like I said, we'll take it to a little like extreme, but like if you were content with having sex one time, or DJing one time, if you were content with that every fucking time, like that would be so dry.
Oh, it would, yeah, absolutely.
You know, like, and then imagine that, like, imagine because you did it one time, you would never want to do it again, and that would suck. Like, you know, think about the thing, whoever's listening, the thing that you love the most, and then if you only did it one time and then that was it, and then you didn't get any excitement from it after, it would suck. You know, life would suck. So all that stuff is important, you know.
Yeah.
But cool. So your dad gave you that money for the turntables, and you're I mean, right there you're learning the importance of, like, you know, like making sure that you're a man of your word, and you know, you pay him back and all this stuff like that.
Right.
So he got you the techniques, right?
Yeah. So I got my techniques, 2011, MK 1210s, I think they were. Yeah. MK 1210s. And, you know, I got those. So I'm like, okay, like, what is it else that I need? And so with talking with DJ Scream and seeing, like, the program that he was using, I wasn't familiar with Scratch Live, you know? So he's like, oh, I use Scratch Live. So I only know about Virtual DJ, and I only know about Tractor.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm thinking, like, okay, like, this is what I'm used to. This is what I'm doing. Like, this is fine.
And real quick, when you're doing this mixing stuff, like, were you actually mixing, or were you, like...
Oh, absolutely.
You knew how to mix?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, intros and all that stuff?
Yeah, so...
As opposed to, like, fading in and out and shit?
You know, that's where I got from, you know, my friend obviously teaching me, because he brought his iPod controller. So he's still kind of, like, you know, guiding me along the way. And and obviously he upgraded at some point, too. He ended up getting, like, a Numark NS7.
Oh, okay.
And then that was, like, the first time one controller had actually moving platters. So I'm, like, you know, when I can, going over to his house, he's coming over.
Cool.
You know, we're learning and stuff like that. And so he's kind of guiding me a little bit. I'm doing my own research. I'm seeing DJ blend. So I'm trying to emulate what they're doing, you know, what they're doing. So, yeah, when I'm out in parties, like...
cool, you were mixing.
You know, I'm trying to do what I'm seeing, you know, what I'm being taught and what I'm available to. So, like, when I'm listening to the radio, you know, when, like, Felifel was on, when Epic 12 was on, when DJ Scream is on, you know, DJ Eddie One, they're playing and they're doing their stuff. I'm listening, and I'm like, okay.
Cool.
So... I'm getting exposed to, you know, all this information. I'm like, okay, this is what I need. So I have my techniques. Dad got me that. It's like, okay, what's next? And I'm like, I got to get Serato. So I remember also, you know, same thing. You go to Craigslist, and I'm like, you know, I'm trying to look for a Serato box. I remember purchasing a Serato SL3 box, you know, the box. So I have my box. I have my turntables. I have my Numark mixer. I'm like, you know, it's time to, you know, take it to the next level. So that whole summer, man, I graduate high school. You know, you're kind of in that limbo of, like, what is it that you're going to do next? You know, I didn't have the grades to get into college. I was able to graduate high school, but it's like, what's next? You know, and I'm kind of lost. And so luckily, you know, through knowing... you know, all the research that I've done and everything, I was able to get into this program called EOP, Education Opportunity Program. And, you know, I did that. So you're very familiar with EOP. So, yeah, I went through that program. I didn't have the grades, but thanks through EOP, I had to go through this program called Summer Bridge.
Shout out to EOP. I was in the Summer Bridge program, too.
That's cool. For what school? San Bernardino. So I got it for Cal State LA. So I got to go to college in the summer right after high school, right? I was like, it sucks, but it wasn't that bad, you know? So here I am going to school, doing homework, and then straight to the turntables, learning it. So that whole summer, man, I'm learning. And, until I got, you know, Serato. I'm like, okay, cool. And, you know, by having a background in Virtual DJ and in Tractor, you kind of saw, like, how much easier Serato was for some reason. Because Tractor... You know, you have your two decks, you know, and, like, you just see the music waves kind of go, you know, around. And then on Virtual DJ, you have this, like, black bar, and you just kind of just trying to line up these two little squares on it, you know, with your BPM. And so you kind of do that. So when you got to Serato and Scratch Live and you see the wavelengths, it was just like, whoa, you know. So I already had that background. I already had that, you know, I already love music. I already have my library built up. I've seen the videos. You know, DJ Scream gave it to me straight. here I am. I'm in college now.
Did you get like his contact and like did you keep in touch with him?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that's
absolutely.
pretty. And that's cool that he was like so chill about it.
You know, him and he had a friend named DJ Luigi. Luigi. Now he's in. I think he works for like Power 106, Cali 93.9, in their street team. But even before radio, like it was like DJ Scream and like DJ Luigi, like doing their stuff, you know. And so it was kind of cool to still be in touch, you know, with them. And yeah, here I am learning it. And so freshman year, college, finally into Cal State LA. I got my techniques. At that time, I upgraded my mixer. I forgot what brand I got after that.
Upgraded your prices.
Yeah, upgraded my prices. Right, absolutely. And so, yeah, you know, and you know, word gets out really quick. You know, so now we're entering an era of like Facebook is big. You know, no more MySpace. Everybody's doing Facebook. You know, and you're in a position where you've learned so much. And you're like walking through college campus and you're seeing these sororities, you're seeing these organizations, you're seeing other DJs. So you're like, wow, like this is where I'm supposed to be at.
Yeah.
So I remember somebody, you know, walking down campus at Cal State LA and, you know, somebody giving out flyers like, hey, you know, come to this party, come to this party, come to this party. But it was, they were at a club. So it was like out in, I forget the club, but it was right on Vine and like Hollywood Boulevard. And so here I go to this club, right? And I'm like, I see the guy that invited me. I'm like, hey man, what's up? And I'm listening to these DJs, you know, do their stuff. And I'm like, man, this is awesome. Like, I want to be up there. I want to be up there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, like, how can I do that? So I met a promoter. They're like, dude, we're gonna have a meeting on Hill Street. Like, come through. And, you know, I'm out there at the meeting and I see all these DJs, all these promoters. I'm like, damn, like, this is kind of intimidating. Like, how the hell am I going to get my opportunity? So they made us obviously submit a mix, you know, and back in that time, you used to burn them on CDs. You know, you would submit them, you would drop it off at your promoters and they'd listen to it. It was probably about a year until I got my opportunity to DJ. So here I am hustling, you know, like, they're telling you, oh, you can't play unless you bring people, you know? So I'm like, damn, like, so I'm telling my friends, I'm trying to add a bunch of random people on Facebook, you know, like trying to get girls, trying to get guys, friend requesting people, messaging them like, hey, look, I'm going to be at this club this Friday. Like, let me know.
Right.
You know, I'm hustling. And yeah, first club I ever DJ'd at was Florentine Gardens. Yeah, I remember that. 19, I remember something happened with the lineup. There was some stuff going on. I'm sure you're familiar with the whole promoters and DJs and club scene, the way, I don't know, like the way it works, and sometimes how it's a little shady.
The funny business.
Yeah, a funny business, yeah. But hey, you're young.
I know.
You're trying to be popular. You want to DJ.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be on the big stage. You want the girls to kind of like, you know, look at you, and the only way they're gonna look at you is like if you're up on that stage.
Yeah.
So
then they'll just ask you, and then what happened? I hate to break it to you guys. So if any of you guys are in it for that, then all that's gonna happen is they're gonna ask for a request. when they come talk to you, they ain't coming to talk to you.
No,
they're
not.
coming for a request.
Yeah.
I think we get more messages from guys than we do chicks.
Oh,
too,
absolutely.
By the way, like I get guys asking me questions about how to DJ and how to do things, and yeah, it ain't, if you're in it for the women,
it ain't gonna happen.
It ain't.
And it's funny
you're gonna get tired of that real quick.
No, yeah, it's funny that you bring that up because I feel like we have that. What do we call it? That stereotype of like, oh, he's a DJ, like he gets all the women. You know what I mean?
Association, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why, but it's
Well, I know why. They just think that. Like people just think that.
You're right. But here I am, Florentine Gardens, showing up with my laptop. You know, I didn't have needles. I didn't have vinyl. It was just kind of like a last minute thing where they're like, yo, Estradation, like, you know, so and so couldn't make it. Like, I need you to open up. And I'm just like, bro, like, okay. And like, I remember just walking up there. Like, Florentine Gardens is a huge venue, bro. It's.
I was about to say I've heard of it, but I don't know too much about it. To be honest, I know that. And then DJ Angie V, she does a little thing where it's called like Florentine Gardens, but I guess it's like a throwback. Well, you can explain it.
Oh
for
no,
those
yeah.
who don't know.
Well, I'm not even. I think it's still called Florentine Gardens,
Yeah.
but it's
okay.
right on Hollywood Boulevard. Right
It's a
next
club.
It's a club. Yeah,
okay.
it's like a big club, man, and it's remodeled now. Like they've turned it into like.
That's weird that I never been.
Yeah,
there.
But man, it is huge. It is massive. Like
Yeah.
I've been to many clubs. Create nightclub. You've been to the whole Pasadena
It's
scene.
bigger than Create.
Oh man, it is bigger. Yeah, it's about as big. You know what? I would dare to say it is bigger than Create. Yeah, absolutely. The whole interior.
Create is huge.
Yeah, it is.
So,
okay.
It has to fucking be a shitload of people then.
Yeah.
So then, was it packed the fuck out?
Oh, so I'm opening.
Yeah.
So it's funny because there's only like maybe 150, 200 people, but I'm like walking up there and I'm like shaking, bro. Like,
is that the most that you had done at that time?
At that time, yes, because I'm.
You're like 19. You said,
Yeah,
right?
I'm 19. I'm still getting my, Saturday, house barbecue events, that people are hitting me up, playing my Spanish music and stuff like that.
Knees weak, arms are heavy, bumming on the sweaty stuff. Already. Like I got the mic.
Man, so
mom spaghetti.
Yeah, I remember walking back. I remember this clearly because I was cool with one of the valet guys because we're constantly playing every Friday at the same club. Florentine Gardens.
You were playing there?
Yeah. Well, my promoter
crew,
group.
Yeah.
So I'm like a promoter / DJ, but I really don't DJ. I'm just trying to get people through the door, get them to say my guest
How the
name.
fucking all that bullshit works.
And so there's only like really 5 guys that are actually DJing out there, plus like a headliner. So I'm doing that. Every Friday I'm there till like 3 a.m. trying to get paid. And having the hope of like, I'm finally gonna be able to DJ. And I remember I would always leave my laptop in my car. Because I'm like, I'm not going to DJ, but you never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
And so I remember when my promoter told me, like, hey, like, I need you to open up. I was like, crap, like, okay, So I'm walking to my car to get it, and, bro, I'm nauseous as hell. I am like, I just get this sense in my stomach of, like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Like, it's just so weird. Because
Did you have a set, like, prepped or anything?
No, see, that's the thing, that it's like I'm just, like, listening, Like sets I had for like Latin stuff, but like I'm playing at Florentine Gardens where it's like 100% hip hop. Like I have the hip hop music, but it's like I'm opening, so it's like, what am I supposed to play at the opening when like all I like really know is like all that like 11:30 to like 1 a.m. stuff, like that headliner stuff. So I'm like trying to like really just like stay focused and like going and. Yeah, bro, it got to a point where I got to my car. I'm sitting there. My stomach's
contemplating
hurting.
life.
I'm like, holy crap. Like, I'm about to do this. Like, my mouth is dry. Like, I am about to throw up. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, I remember I start coughing. Like, I'm about to, like, throw up because I'm like, dude, like, this is crazy. I'm about to DJ at Florentine Gardens, bro.
Oh, shit.
So I'm, like, walking there, and I'm just like, oh, man. I remember, like, just getting numb. Just getting real numb.
Right.
My legs are feeling tingly, my hands, and I'm like going up there, and this is before they open the club, so it's like for me to be that nervous and there's like literally nobody there.
Yeah.
Like I was like, dang, so I'm up there, so and so let me borrow their vinyl, their things, and I remember
grabbing the fucking needle, just shake it. For those who can't see, I'm shaking my arm really bad.
Dude, I'm like there, and bro, I'm a rookie. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, so it's empty as hell in there. I put the needles, I put my vinyl, and I remember it was a rookie move.
I love these stories.
So I guess when, the mixers and stuff, like the volume's all the way up, volume's all the way up, fader's all the way up. I have my needles on the thing, so I'm like, homeboy tells me like, hey, let's test the song. So, I press play on the turntable and I'm gonna put the needle, but I never checked that the volume was all the way up. You know what I mean? So I put the needle on it.
I know it's going.
Bro, it's like, like it just like you just put the needle and you just hear like the music. So I panic and I'm like, what the hell? So I remember like, homeboy comes, he's like, dude, like, puts the fader down. I'm just like, oh my gosh. And like, I got the freaking owner at the corner saying like, is this his first time? Like screaming at me. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like fuck my life. Like I was supposed to sound check this. I have everything full volume blasting. And it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, oh man. But I felt like for some reason that needed to happen because after like getting my ass cussed out by the owner, and like homeboy, one of the guys that's there doing the sound check, like telling me that like all the nerves and everything just kind of went away. So that was kind of like all right, like I already fucked up. Like, what can go worse? You know what I mean? Like you're just kind of like, all right. Luckily nobody heard. Because everybody's outside. But I'm sure like the girls waiting in line are like, what the hell is going in there? Because like it's like all you hear is crickets, and then all of a sudden it's like boom, boom, boom. Yeah, right. So, yeah, man, I'm there. Doors open at 10. Remember, I'm DJing until like 11:15. And
you just play it off like, oh, y'all didn't want it that loud? My bad. I thought it was one of those like hype-ass clubs. I know it was one of those bitch clubs. Like, all right, I'll put it down. Like,
man, it was...
you play it off.
Yeah, so, first set, you go there and you see, people walking in, and they're walking to the bar. Some people are slowly starting to dance, and it just felt good, man.
And I bet you when you ever since that happened, that's like probably one of the first things you check now.
Oh yeah. Oh man, like it's like funny that you bring that up.
Like that shit gets burned to fucking man. It's almost like it's equivalent to like how they brand the fucking cattle. Oh, yeah. Like that shit got branded in your brain.
Oh, it really did, man.
It burned in there, and I'm never forgetting that shit.
Yeah, I do this now. I do this thing where before I turn on my speakers now at a gig, like that's like the last thing I do. I put on my headphones and I make sure my faders are down. I play a song and make sure everything's up and running. Then I go to the speakers, and then I'm like, all right, let's put volume till it's true. That's my second nature right now, bro. When I'm setting up.
I know, and so that's the thing. Like with when you getting out and doing it like that, luckily that was a sound check moment, and it wasn't like doors are open and shit's going on, and then that happens, and that's the part that's kind of. Excuse me. That's the part that's kind of funny about Scratch is that we have a lot of like mock events. Like we'll have the students do like a. Excuse me. We have the students do like a mock wedding or a mock club set or like a lounge set, right?
Yeah.
And we all just watch them, and then we're not super crazy on them, but just that little added pressure.
Yeah.
It really makes shit feel real for them.
Oh,
and, it creates a panic with them, and it creates, like, them getting the cold sweat, and sometimes they fucking start crying.
Oh,
like, no lie, they do.
Oh, man.
And it's like, it's going to happen, but it's so hard, for some reason, it's so hard for them to understand, like, it's so better. Like, it's happening here. This is, like, in a learning space. Like, imagine if you were out there doing it and fucking up, And burning bridges, because with us we're not gonna hold it against you like, oh, last week you didn't get audio up, so you fucking you're already on our shit list. Like, no, like it's like you didn't get audio up last week, but like let's see you do it today. Like let's see. I hope I pray. I don't want to see you fail. We never want to see anyone fail. But yeah, it's just funny that they kind of like they don't get that, and then we try to recreate all those type of moments like that as much as we can. We can't get them all, but we do, like with the mock events, it does emulate a lot of them. And so, I'm sure that all that, like a lot of mistakes fortunately happen in there.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure that they still make mistakes just like any of us outside, but at least like you definitely can learn, you get ahead of the curve with that, and like those moments, they just they burn in, and then you never forget.
You never forget. Yeah, you're right. I never forget that moment. Like the owner really cussing me out, like from across the room, like screaming, like, "It's his first time, huh?" Like telling homeboy who turned it down, and he's just like he just kind of nods his head, and I was just
it's funny because like our old instructor DJ Hoppa used to like be kind of notorious for that. So like he would say like, come the mock event. Wally's gonna be, and I would be like the assistant, so he'd be like, Wally's gonna be the bouncer, and I'm gonna be the main manager, right? And so you guys don't like come in and be like, oh hey Wally, blah blah. No, that's the bouncer, and I'm the owner, and that's the way it is. And so like I'd be like standing by like the back room, and they'd be like, oh, can I go in there and see the setup? And then I'll be like, no, they're cleaning up in there. And then they're like, well, I don't know what gear's on it. And then I'm like, okay, that's not my problem. Like, and that's what I had to do. I don't, I'm a super nice guy. I'm not trying to be a dick, but that's what we would do. And because we wouldn't tell them the gear that they'd be on, because we told them like, yo, you got to be, you show up to ready to play whenever. And, any of the gear that they were going to be on was in the studio. It wasn't like we were fucking importing shit like that you never seen. It's like, well, we're going to throw a wrench. Like, it might be a turntable, mixer, and a CDJ, or it might be a controller that's here that maybe you didn't get on, but you certainly could have. And we always like told you to try to get on other things other than sticking with turntables all the time or sticking with controllers all the time. So it was funny because like that little dynamic, it recreated that scenario for sure. And then Hopper would run out like 10 minutes before and be like, all right, here's the set times, this is what you guys figure it out. And first DJ starts in 10 minutes. So cool. And then he would just walk back in and they would be like, well, what? And they try to ask like, and he's just like, I'm done. Like, we're done. I told you what you need to know. And that's what, and it, like I said, it was mock stuff, but it definitely like it's super learning experience,
Wow, I kind of wish I had that, man, because it's intimidating, man. Right? When you walk into a club, like just even walking into a club is already intimidating, in itself. But
for sure.
But when you're a DJ and you're like surrounded by all these other DJs and you got all these like big time promoters and you see them all the time, like they're every weekend, sometimes 3 times a week, bringing in all these people, and you're just kind of like, it's just intimidating. Like the bouncer thing, I think that's brilliant because you're right. These bouncers have a very serious face. They're tall. Some of them are pretty big, and how do you go and approach them?
That's the perfect description of me, bro. Yeah. Tall, kind of big.
It's like, how do you approach them and you tell them like, hey, like I'm a DJ, like can I go in there? You know what I mean? And they'll straight up tell you like, no.
Yeah, they'll look at you like, okay,
no.
bro.
Yeah,
and they're like, look in your bag and shit.
Oh, no, it's true. Like, until like the main promoter is there and the main promoter tells them like, hey, he's one of my guys. Then you can kind of get in. You're like, what the hell?
For sure.
Are you kidding me? Like, bro, you told me to be here at 8 and you're showing up at 9:15, and I've already been trying to tell the bouncer like we
do shit like that too. We do shit like that. We're like, you guys got to be here 30 minutes early, and then like I said, we come out 10 minutes before and be like, hey, fucking. You guys are on in 10 minutes. Fucking figure this shit out.
That's how it is, man. It's man.
And they thought we were being dicks, and then I'm sure like now they're like, oh I see. They were being
so
dicks.
True.
And like even a little added part, we would they'd have a setup like just like that, like with the turntables and everything, and we wouldn't let them get like in front of their shit. And this is because we would teach them to swap out with the boxes, and we would teach them to not cut the music.
Not to cut the music.
That's like a hard part, right? Yeah. So we would not allow them to go around the table, and so you're a DJ. Why do you think that we would do that?
Oh, dude, you can disconnect the cable like nothing. You can trip over a cable. You can, it's like
or a lot of times. How about the fact that like you're in like a booth?
Oh yeah.
And you couldn't do that if you wanted to.
You're right though. You're right. You can't walk in front. You're right.
Yeah, like that shit's like on a stage or whatever. And so what do you?
There's like a wall right here, and like the table's all the way here. So it's like there's a guy here, and you only got this. Yeah.
So you're like looking over, and then you're pulling shit out, and then you're plugging your shit in, and yeah, you can't just fucking pick it up and be like, what's back here?
Yeah,
nope, that's not. You
have to visualize it. Yeah.
So we would do shit like that too, and they would, like I said, they would hate us. Like, you guys are like, assholes, blah blah. But it's like, no, that's the real the real world,
That's true.
But,
man. Yeah.
So okay, so you fuck up, and then you said like after that, like the weight
opens up, and
the weight like feels like lifted
when
from
he
you.
really screamed at me, and it was just kind of like a wake up call, like get your shit together.
Yeah,
like, bro, you're about to doors are about to open. 15 minutes, like you did your sound check.
Yeah,
everything's working. Like let's just go.
Yeah.
So man, doors open up, and I remember the first song I ever played. You also kind of remember those moments of like, what do you started out with?
I don't remember my first.
You don't remember your first song? Yeah, was "Let Me Blow Your Mind."
Hey, that's a good song. But I feel like that was probably like a hot song.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Kind of, right?
Yeah, kind of. So I remember I started out with that. I was like, you know what, like,
but that's cool.
I'm gonna start with 90s BPM.
I'm already rocking to it.
I'm just playing that, and I'm just going along, and playing some Missy Elliott, some Ludacris, and we're just going off of like, we're gonna put everything on BPM 90 and everything below and everything above that, and we're just gonna slowly get into it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Cool.
And I was like, I didn't want to
burn anybody,
burn anything,
yeah.
and I had like respect for that, and I was like, it's my first time. This is what I'm comfortable with. This is music that I know.
Cool.
So let me just go. So yeah, and with doing the whole transition, I was like, okay, I'm the first one up. So and so's coming up next. Like, cool. We got off, and I just remember going down, and I was like, bro, I felt like I was on top of the world.
Yeah.
Like it was an amazing feeling to just be up there. Yeah, I only had 150 to like 200 people watching, but just to finally be able to say like, man, like I'm up here, I did that.
Yeah.
Like this is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm sure that fucking like lit your fire up for sure.
Oh man, it was
like you telling that story. It really reminds me of like the first time I did like a huge fucking party.
Yeah.
And I remember I was kind of nervous, but like as corny as it sounds, and I know I've said this story maybe once or twice on here, but as corny as it sounds, like right when I got up to my turntable, I just felt like home. I was like, I was looking at everybody like, I'm gonna fuck y'all up. Like I'm about to give y'all this set, like I was excited, and like I said, I felt at home. It wasn't like no trembling or anything.
Yeah.
Like walking up, I was like nervous for sure, but nervous and excited. And then once I got there, I was like, oh yeah, I know this. Like this is all too familiar, And then just going at it. And last weekend, me DJing at my spot, it is a trip too. Like whenever you kind of take a step back real quick, and you are like, fuck, I'm fucking. It's a condensed version, but man, I'm an entertainer, and I'm entertaining like the masses, and it is like an interesting thing because, it's somebody else's like music that you're playing, but you're still a facilitator for that. And I was gonna say, it's almost like in the comparison of like a comedian. Like I listen to Joe Rogan a lot. I love like listening to that stuff. Right. I do have a little interest of like doing maybe like a one-time stand-up thing, like just to say that I did it, fucking just to try it. But like that seems pretty hard to do. Like you're up there and you're just you're entertaining these people and you're trying to please them, and that's exactly what we're doing. And it's, to me, I think the importance of it now that I'm older has really kind of grown because of, or the appreciation of it as well, because of like now that you are the age that you are, you see how opinionated people are. And it's just like, fuck, like everybody talks shit about everything. So if I'm up there and they're happy, like that's crazy, because that means that like for 4 hours or however, like for 1 hour, people are just agreeing. Like they're not, and it's not, of course, it's not everybody, but the majority of people, especially with all the issues that are going on in today's society, it's cool that people like, hey, for like this 1 hour, I agree with everybody in this room and on this dance floor. Like I fuck with all y'all. Like you guys like this, I like this too. Let's party. Like I had that like kind of thought the other, last week, and it was kind of like, oh, that's really cool. There's something really cool about that.
Yeah, it's just awesome how you can connect with people through what you do.
Yeah,
and it's just.
I mean, that's how we got connected.
Yeah, that's how you're right. Yeah, it's crazy.
Cool. So then you do that, and that's like does that kickstart anything in you? Like where you're like, you want to do clubs more, or like you just want to DJ more?
No, well, both.
Or do you get like more gigs there because of that?
Absolutely. So it got to a point where it's like I'm in college. Promoter got me in. I finally did my first gig. I'm at Florentine Gardens. I'm starting to pull people, Well,
that's a cool brag, because you're actually like on stage as opposed to like,
absolutely. And that's kind of what you wanted to get, because there was like, it's so crazy how, or at least in that time, it would literally be like 18 DJs and like 10 promoters. You know what I mean? And I mean, this is Florentine Gardens, man. I'm telling you, it's probably got like a capacity. Let's say 1,000 person capacity. So one DJ is not just gonna bring like, unless whenever they would get headliners, they would pull their people, like 200-300 people. Oh, I'm gonna go see DJ 81, DJ Felly Fell, whatever. Sure. They can pull their people, but we still got to get another 700-800 people. So how do we do that? So like, well, Estradation knows somebody, so and so knows somebody. So you got 18 DJs, and then they all bring 10 people. That's 180 people. If you got another 10 promoters and they're really popular, and they bring 100 people. So that's how the game works. So. It was crazy how you got 18 DJs, right? You got like 10 promoters. You got meetings, every week. you know, you're getting the flyer for the whole, you know, for that week. You got to promote. And out of those 18 DJs, there's only 5 guys DJing. So for you to finally be on that list of like, oh, he opened up, you know, now it's like out of those 18 DJs, maybe 8 guys have already DJed on the big stage, but there's still 10 that haven't. You know, they're waiting for their opportunity. So it's like, how can you stand out? What can you do better? You know, for your promoter to be like, oh, I'm throwing you on this lineup. Right. So, you know, we did Florentine Gardens for a little bit. It definitely sparked, you know, like this love for the clubs where I was like, man, like this is where I want to be. You know, this is what I want to do. You know, I would get an adrenaline rush from it. And it's like, it's just a thing that you can only get when you're up there. So then like the next step was like, I don't want to be the opener. I don't want to be the closer. I want to be that, you know, 3rd, 4th, and 5th DJ that are in the middle, you know, because that's when the club is packed. That's when everybody's having a good time. So what is it that I have to do that? So, you know, we did about Florentine Gardens for about 6 months, and then, you know, new ownership. They're about to remodel the club. So we moved to the Belasco Theater. And the Belasco Theater is pretty big too. They got multiple rooms. So there was more opportunities for you to DJ there, you know, because you're talking about 3-4 rooms in the Belasco Theater. So it's
multiple
like,
areas to DJ.
You know, the main room is hip hop. The second room is Latin. And then you got like, you know, the smoker room and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, the 18 DJs, you know, spread out. If you put, you know, 5 in each room, you know, you're able to get those opportunities.
For sure.
So now you're just kind of fighting for a spot to be like, I want to be in room A and B. I don't want to be in C and D, you know, because those are the bigger rooms.
And then your slot.
And then get in your slot. So, you know, you're working your way through there. You know, you're doing your thing. I'm in college. I'm promoting myself as like a gig DJ, but also like, hey, on Friday nights, you can catch me at the Belasco Theater. And then, you know, so another promoter group takes over, and we end up at Empire in Hollywood. I don't even think that club exists anymore. But I'm like around 20 years old. We're at Empire, small little club. We're talking about like 400 capacity max. Small little room in the back, big room in the, you know, in the front. And you got 18 DJs again, only in like 5 slots. You know, so it got to a point where I was doing my thing. I was living the club lifestyle. You know, I was getting the really good slots. I'm bringing in people. I'm meeting girls. I'm doing
these
my
18
thing.
and over spots? Or?
18 and over spots. Yeah, they were all 18 and over spots.
20.
No, So I'm 20. And so obviously the ultimate goal becomes, I want to go to this, you know, 21 and over club. I want to DJ at this bar. You know what I mean? Because you hear that, oh, if you think this is cool, just wait till you get to a 21 and over spot. You know, that's where people actually pay. And that's like where people actually show up too, you know, where like you don't even need to do the promoter work. So I was starting to hate the promoter work, you know, where it's like you got to go to these meetings on Tuesday night, meet up at some like random 7-Eleven parking lot somewhere in Hollywood with a bunch of like dudes and DJs. They're telling you like, hey, we're going to do this, and that. They email you the flyer. You have the flyer. You're on Facebook promoting all the way until Friday. You're doing last minute text messages, you know, and it's like, and then on top of that, like you don't even know when your time slot is, and it's based off of how many people you're gonna, you know what I mean? So it's like all this work. You know, I got school. I still got to prep my, you know, DJ stuff for Saturday. So it's becoming so much. And I remember it was my 20th. I'm 20 years old. There was already a lot of little bullshit going on in the middle, you know, in that year when we were finally in Empire. A lot of bullshit between the DJs, the promoters. So I'm like, you know what? I'm really going to hustle. You know, it's about to be, you know, like 2014. I'm like, what is it that I can do, you know, to bring people during this, you know, big New Year's Eve party we're going to have, you know, at Empire. And so I would always average anywhere between 20 to 35 people consistently every week.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, so from friends, from cousins that would show up, you know, from people that I'm meeting out in colleges, from people that I meet in gigs, you know, announcing myself, letting them know, like, hey, like, if you like this stuff, just let me know. Add me on Facebook. I'll let you guys know where I'm going to be at every Friday, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I remember New Year's Eve, it got to a point where I'm like, I need to get money. And they're like, you know, New Year's Eve is going to be like $30, $40 a head. So I'm like, damn, like before you're only paying $5 a head, now you're going to be paying $30, $40. I'm like, I think I can bring 60, you know, people. And so I'm hustling. I'm trying to like pull people and be like, no, don't go to that party. Come to this one. We're going to have this and that, you know. So we're going. And yeah, I got like 65 people that came on my guest list.
That's a lot of people.
Man, yeah, especially
for one person to get.
Yeah, for one person
that's
to get.
That's a lot.
Yeah. because it's hard to bring everybody consistently every week, you know, because you might get 20 people this week, but then that same 20 people is not going to show up next Friday or the Friday after that. No, they want to go check out other spots.
That's work, bro.
Yeah, that's work.
Good.
So I get that. So in my mind, I'm like, bro, like I'm going to be getting like $700-800 off of this. I'm like, this is dope. And so I remember it's like the end of the night, you know, you're the other thing that I hated about being a DJ at the club that was just getting just really hard was like, you got to wait till they kick everybody out. You're there till like 2:30, 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And then your promoter's talking to the owner for I don't know what it is, what they're tallying up. So I'm like, I got 65 people. Like, I'm about to get paid. You know, and I remember, you know, homeboy comes out and he only shoots me 100. And I was like really confused because I was like, yo, like, what's going on? Like, I know in my guest list, I brought 65 people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why is it that I'm only getting 100? And he gives me some excuse where he's like, oh, no, you know what? Like, the bar was short, so we're paying this off of this. I already talked to the owner. Like, come next week, and, you know, and I'll shoot you your cash. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I show up next week. Same thing where, you know, I didn't bring 65 people, but, you know, I brought my 15 or whatever. And
fuck
I'm like,
I'm like, hey, bro, I ain't bringing no more people till I get that fucking money, son.
Yeah. And then I wish I could have been that firm.
In retrospect, right? I mean, but, you know, give it, like you said, you were 20. So, you definitely didn't have that.
You don't,
But, but like right now, you'd be like, right, dog.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, yeah, give me my money. And so, you know, next week comes up, I'm there on Friday, and I brought my 15, so I'm like, okay, like this guy owes me like, you know, another $500-600, you know, plus whatever I made this night. So, you know, same thing. He gives me the runaround. He's like, oh, well, this is what you made from this night. Like, I'll get you your money. So I got to a point where I was like, all right, I'm there for a month. Homeboy hasn't given me my money. That's when I figured out, like, these guys are fucking scamming me. Like, you know, like, they're going to keep telling you this, and that, and you're never going to get it. And you're going to keep bringing your people, and you're still never going to get it. Like, you're not going to make it, you know? So I just got to a point where I was like, you know what, like, I'm done with this, you know? So it's like I started 2014. I'm done with the clubs. I made it till about, like, mid-February up until, like, the Valentine's dance or whatever. I'm like, you know what, I'm done with this. Like, I can't do this. Like, I got to focus in school. I got to focus, you know, on the gigs that I'm getting on Saturdays. I'm already, you know, averaging 4 gigs a month.
Right.
I'm like, you know, just on my own with my own equipment.
Right.
Like, what am I doing? Wasting my time during the week, sleepless nights, trying to promote, do that extra work, when in the end I'm not getting the money, you know?
For peanuts,
yeah. For peanuts, exactly. So I remember, like, them hitting me up, like, week to week. Like, hey, like, are you going to show up here? Are you going to show up? Hey, we're going to meet here. Like, Estradation, like, what's going on? And that's when I started to realize, like, that, like, my worth as a DJ, you know, like, why is it that they keep, you know, hitting me up? Because I was still that 20-year-old guy that was, like, showing up like an hour before when they're telling you to show up, you know, like, my work ethic was showing compared to what other guys were doing, you know?
Right.
And so, like, I never gave up on that. So they knew that I was consistent. They knew that I was always bringing 15, 20 people a week. You know, when we had guys there that were, like, longer run and they were, like, just kind of giving up and they were just there just to turn up and pick up on girls and do their thing, you know? But it's like, that's where my worth ethic, you know, really showed. And that's when I kind of was like, oh, like, now you want me to show up? Now you want to pay me, you know, so-and-so, or what it was. But I was done with that.
Yeah,
you know, so
you sound like me and my fucking job I just left.
So I'm like, all right, cool, you know. So I'm just, you know what, I'm just going to focus on doing my thing. So I'm like, you know what, gigs is where I'm at. You know, gigs is what it is that I want to do, you know?
Right.
I'm like, I feel like this is what's meant for me to be. You know, the club scene was cool. The club scene was fun while it lasted.
Right.
But with all that bullshit going on, I think it's time to kind of adapt, you know?
You could get over it real fast.
Yeah. Oh, and I didn't even miss it. It got to a point where I turned 21. And my friends are hitting me up and they're like, bro, let's go to this club. And I'm just like, bro, like, I don't want to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I was just so done with the club scene. I got burned, bro.
Yeah, you got burned.
And it's like, but we're 21. Like, the 21 and over clubs are better than the 18 and over, you know? I was just burned.
Yeah, well, you were doing it for a year straight. So, I mean, if anybody, like, that's a lot of time to be at a job that you don't even really like.
52 weeks,
know?
bro.
Yeah.
52 weeks. That's
for
lot.
Sure. And you were, I mean, from the sounds of it, and I believe every word of it, you know, it sounds like you were hustling your ass off, man. You know, so that's, and I, you know, like I said, I did just recently leave I had a job, a little summer job thing that I, just to make ends meet, you know, like absolutely. Being out of work, like I picked up a little quick job at the beach. And, long story short, we were averaging 18 to 22 bucks an hour, and then that was with tips. It was only minimum wage, but with the tips, it was 18 to 22 bucks an hour, right? So I was doing a lot of fucking work, like a lot of manual labor at this job, and then they cut out our tips. So then they cut it to minimum wage. So I was like, bro, you want the same amount of work for less pay?
For less pay, right?
And then when we confronted them about it, like, you know, how can we make this work? Like, show us that you at least you want to make some effort.
Yeah.
You know, like, so that we're not just out here like, you know, you're not just leaving us hanging out to dry. And they pretty much gave us the like, well, if you don't like it, leave.
Jeez.
They pretty like, and I mean, like I said, I definitely am like, it's a condensed version, but no lie. Like, you ask any of those guys, that's what the fuck they said, and that's how it went down.
Yeah.
So yeah, like after that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And then, I mean, it definitely helped that I have my gigs on the weekends, so I could financially like support myself without being reliant on that.
Yeah.
You know, but I was in the same boat, but for like 2 months where I was just working my ass off, and you know, I'm a hard worker too, bro, and you know, whenever I do anything, like I like to give my 1,000%.
Right.
You know, I that's something that definitely was instilled with me with my parents, is like, if you're not gonna do it right the first time, then don't do it.
Right.
So that's exactly like the mentality that I grew up with, and you know, I gave it my full effort. My neighbor actually hooked me up with the job, so I didn't want to let her down either. But you know, but after that happened, and I was like, yo, you guys, not only you guys not appreciate us, but you guys for not like even type of have any like any attempt of trying to like make it work.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, and it's funny, I just told them this too, but my biggest thing is like, or I want to coin this, I'll fucking copyright if you guys are listening. I'm gonna copyright this shit. But like a little phrase that I say is speaking in solutions, you know, like, and I did that as like a little TED talk on my Instagram live thing. But you know, like pretty much if someone tells you like a dead end, but you really want to make things work, like you'll find a way. Like, I know for a fact, if I ever tell this guy in front of me and I'm pointing at Estradation, I know if I ever tell him something, he will find like a way to do it. So like, let's say I'll be like, hey, Estradation, you know, are you down to do a session on Saturday? And I know, because he's busy, he's probably gonna be like, man, I'm booked Saturday, Sunday, but next week, Tuesday, I'm free after 5, and we could do that. Or maybe like Thursday after 5, I could do that too. If either of those don't work, then you let me know when your best availability would be, and then I'll work with you. Like, that's how you speak in solutions.
Right.
Like, you will fucking do that, and that's how you get things done. And that's how, you know, like, yeah, I mean, that's how you create more opportunities rather than just like dead ending things, you know. And that's pretty much what happened. Like, they didn't show any type of like, you know what, I understand you're upset about this, and let's try to work with you. Like, let's try to figure out something together so it could work, blah, blah. It was more like, it was a dead end. If you don't like it, walk. And so it's like, all right, cool. Like, I'm walking. And I was going to leave like that day. But like I said, as a courtesy to my neighbor, because she's the one who hooked me up with the job, I talked to her and I was like, you know, like, how can I do this? How can I do this with the least amount of like repercussion on your part? You know, because I don't want them to think bad of you or anything like that. And so I finished out like the following week, and then after that I left, and I wrote like a report and everything, and I let them know how I felt. And you know, like I pretty much just told him, I was like, I'm sure this is, you know, I don't think that this place is a terrible place, but you know, I listed the problems, and then I just said like, hey, like, you know, the straw that broke the camel's back was the fact that you guys weren't even willing to like work with us. Like, we were willing to do the most for you. Like, we were all like the guys there, because I wasn't the only one that left. There's like a couple
I'm sure.
2 other guys left. The other ones there are like still there, like are on their way out too. So anyways, like, yeah, like, you know, it's like, I'm sure that the machine will run just fine, but you made us jaded. Like, I don't even feel comfortable bringing you money because like, you're a terrible person.
Gotcha.
You know, like,
no. That's how you treat your employees. I don't even,
like, and that's our job. Like, our job is to make money for your like machine and whatever, for your business, right? But like, now it's like, it's unbearable where like the fact that I know like how you are and you could care less about us, it's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
So I know exactly what you're talking about,
Yeah.
bro.
Oh man, yeah. So
And I can only imagine. I mean, like I said, I was only doing it for 2 months, but yeah, you were doing it fucking a year, bro.
Yeah, a year.
Yeah.
So I'm burned
And you
out.
definitely have a little bit more like. I know that you have a lot more, or a lot less nerve, I think is the way to phrase it, at that age.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, because you don't know any better, and you don't know, kind of like when someone's using you as much as you would right now, and you don't know your value, like you said that you've discovered.
Oh yeah, and that's how you learn. I feel like that's what it is. You know, those life lessons that you learn along the way. You know, it was like, and it just blew my mind how. So I'm burned out with the clubs, right? I'm 21 now. I can go to the 21 and over clubs, and I'm like, I don't even want to go with my friends. Like, I'm 21. I can go legally drink now. I can go party with my friends on a Friday night where I don't have to worry about, you know, dropping a set, and I can just have fun. But it was just kind of like, nah, man. Like, I already know how it is. You know what I mean? So it was like, you know, and then, you know, you went through the whole phase. I went through that whole phase of like, nah, man, like you go and then it's like, it's freaking 10:30 and like Homeboy's already playing like the motto, you know, when it's like 10:30, you know, like he's playing all the club bangers. And then, you know, the next DJ comes. Yeah. And then you go to the next DJ and then he's also playing like repeating songs. And you're just kind of like, what is going on? Like you're hearing the same songs every hour. You know what I mean? So like there was no flow to it. I was just like, man. And then you would listen to some DJs and you're like kind of critiquing, you know. So it's like I'd go to the club and I'm not even enjoying myself because it's like I'm critiquing like what is going on, and I'm like, oh, I've been there, I've done that. Oh, this Homeboy's probably playing because he brought 50 people, but this guy that's really good only brought 10, so he's all right now. That's why he's in this, you know. So I wasn't even enjoying him, man. So going through business school, you know, I decided what I wanted to do in college. I'm already, you know, 2 years in general ed. I went through some, you know, a couple years of communications. I supposedly was going to go and do computer science. I supposedly was going to get into programming and whatnot. Then I did communications. That didn't work out for me. I was like, you know what? I'm going to settle on business. Right. So I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. So in those 4 years of like trying to figure out what I'm doing, I'm making all these connections. You know, I'm meeting people. You know, putting my name out there gig wise. It got to a point where like I'm getting bigger gigs. I'm like, I need more equipment. Who do I go to? I go to my dad. So he's helping me fund the equipment. You know, just growing growing it.
What's your last name?
Estrada.
Estrada. That's the Estrada. The Bank of Estrada, right there, bro.
Yeah, Bank of Estrada, bro. No, I literally, I even say this till today. My dad is my bank. Like it's crazy to say it, but like how blessed I am to be able to go to somebody that close to me, like to be able to go to your dad, you know, and be like, hey dad, like, can I borrow X amount of money?
Can I have a small loan of $1 million?
Man, I wish we had it like that, man. But
I just need a small loan, dad.
I just need $1 million. But it's like, it's crazy because I have a lot of friends that are DJs, and it's like we've had those conversations where they ask like, bro, how did you do it? Like, how can you get that equipment? And for me to be able to be like, it's my dad, and then you kind of get that sense out of them where it's like, fuck, like I wish I could go to my dad and he would, you know what I mean? So it's like it teaches you in a way to be like, damn, I better be you know, appreciating Papa Estradation a lot more than what I am. A lot of people
don't have this,
because a lot of people don't, for whatever reason. You know what I mean?
For whatever reason,
and it's just like, it's just crazy. So I know I go to Papa Estradation and I'm like, he's always there, and it's like, it's crazy how he never said no. You know what I mean? It was always like, all right, mijo, like, you know what you got to do. Like, this is what we've talked about. You know, since the beginning, I'll let you borrow whatever money it is, but this is what you got. You know.
Hey, bro, you had good credit with the guy.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely. You know? There we go to that too. You're right. Yeah. So he knew I wasn't going to like, you know, be like, oh no, you know, I'm not gonna pay him back. I'm not gonna pay him back. So it's like he like instilled that good work ethic and knowing. I was like, all right, like I know you're working for it. This is what I'm gonna let you borrow. You know, you have no time for it to pay me back, but you're eventually gonna pay me back. And I was always like, oh, like I gotta pay him back. You know, so prices are going up. I'm getting more equipment. Putting my name out there. You know, and
that's really cool.
During college and going through business school really showed me like, you gotta get serious with this, Eric. Like, you have a business, bro. Like, it's crazy how I'm not a businessman. I'm a business man. Right. And it's like, bro, like you started in 2011, you know, charging, you know, $50 a month because that's all you knew, you know, $50. And it's like, we're in 2016, and it's like you're only charging 300. You know what I mean? Like 300 bucks. So it's like how the hell is it that you're only charging $250 more? For what it is that you have, and what you have to offer.
Yeah.
And so it got to a point where like you're learning these business principles. You're learning that there's a demand for stuff. You're learning that there's ways of this business being the same exact one as this one, but why is this one making more money?
Right.
What is it that that this business? How are they standing apart from this if they're selling the same amount? They're selling the same product.
That's really interesting. All that stuff. I bet that would have been. I wish I could have did some like minor stuff in retrospect in that.
No, absolutely, man. Yeah. So I'm like learning all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, like what can Estradation do that this DJ is not doing, but be able to charge this much so that they don't go to this person. You know what I mean? So I'm like learning all this stuff. And yeah, man, like business school really taught me that it's like, know your worth. If somebody is really going to call you and be like, hey, I got $400, but you know that you're worth 800, just tell them, you can't do it.
Yeah. And the thing that I always explain about this too is like, I get sometimes, if DJing is your bread and butter, then sometimes you have to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Rent's due tomorrow, you're short $400. Somebody hits you up that day. Guess what? You're gonna fucking do it because you need to pay your rent.
Oh, absolutely.
But if it's not, then you do have that luxury, and it's important to do that. For sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I'm living with my parents. They're only charging me X amount of rent. So and then they're kind of taking care of all the bills. They know that the reason why I'm working so hard is because I gotta fund my school. Again, I didn't get financial aid. So it's like, so I'm paying like $4,000 every 3 months because when I went through Cal State LA, we were a quarter system. So quarters meaning 10 weeks, 10 weeks, 3 times a year versus 16 weeks twice a year, which is a semester. So I'm like, I gotta come up with $3,500 plus my books. I'm not getting financial aid. I'm seeing all these people get financial aid, driving all these luxury cars, and I'm still driving a 1990 Nissan.
Yeah.
And borrowing my dad's Windstar 2008 Windstar with my equipment. Like, what is going on? So, to a certain extent, like my parents didn't go easy on me when it came to like bills. But they knew that I'm, making money for, for a 22, 23-year-old. So it's like, we're not going to go easy. You also got to, provide this, for yourself.
Right.
And they know I'm going through school and whatnot. So it was hard, man. It was tough. It got to some points where, like you said, like rent is due tomorrow, you're $400 and I'm like, crap, like I'm, this much short. I got to, sign up for my classes next week. Like, I got to do what I got to do. So here I am, charging $200-$300 just to kind of make it through ends meet.
If you got to do it,
you got to do it.
And it's funny too because I had financial aid for like the first 3 years, and then I took some time off, and then they cut it. So then like my last 2 years, I started to pay it out of pocket, and that's when it really like kicked me in the ass. Like, cause when I was in the financial aid days, I was like, man, this shit's paid for. Like I got free money, I don't care, But once that shit ran out and I had to pay for it, like shit got real serious real fast. I was like, yo, like, cause I would, I always say this too, like whenever with school, I was already pursuing my passion. Like I love DJing and I wanted to do that, like I legit got my degree from my parents. Like I told my parents that I would do it. So I wanted to complete it.
Right.
But when that money ran out, that was some fucking insane. I was like, yo, you're spending, I mean, I was probably paying I think $3,000. Maybe
it was around $3,000. That's how much it was a quarter.
So, but regardless, I was like, man, this is money that could be mine. This shit should be in my pocket, not their pocket. Yeah. So that was a real kick in the ass. Like, yo, the faster you complete this shit, the sooner that money is your money. So. It got real fast.
Yeah. And we're only talking about let's say tuition's $3,000, right?
Yeah.
So, but then you got to get your books, right?
Yeah.
Because professor says hey, you got to get this version of but you got to get this, right? And you got to eat, you got to get gas, So it's it adds up, bro. It's not we're not only just so it's it was tough. So, I went through college 8 years. The reason why it took me so long was because I go in there thinking I'm going to be a programmer. So I do my 2 years of general ed. I'm supposedly going to do, computer science. Math sucked. And so, and I'm also in that transition of I'm trying to figure, I'm
major for a reason.
Yeah. Man, and then,
one class,
and that's it. Dude, Man,
Yeah, math sucked.
Yeah, it sucked. We'll
Dude,
just
I
leave it at
didn't.
that. Yeah.
I did math my final year, like my final quarter, bro. Like I
That-
failed like 2 classes,
yeah.
and that third one was like, if you don't
Do
fucking
it,
do
yeah.
this shit, you ain't graduating, son.
No, man, and we got into some weird, crazy stuff in math, and when it came to programming, that I was
Oh
like,
yeah, I could only imagine, bro.
bro, you were talking like Greek language there, bro. You're like, you had to learn Greek before you like.
Fuck
It was
that.
wild, man.
Yeah.
It was some crazy stuff, but. Yeah, so then I'm doing that, 2 years, and then 2 years of the programming. I mean, of trying to do computer science. And that didn't work out for me. Then I do another 2 years of like communications. So
Right.
I'm up to 6 years, and then I remember a professor telling me like what are you gonna do with communications?
Yeah.
And I was like, what does this person mean? Like, what do you mean? What am I gonna do with comm?
I'm gonna talk,
Yeah, I'm gonna talk, right? So it's just crazy because. Like that kind of hit me hard, and I was like, "Damn! Like you're right. What is it that I'm gonna do?" So I finally settled on business.
Yeah.
And so I took those 2 years of business. So you add all that up, it's 8 years of school.
You know what though, man? And I know for a fact, you don't regret a day of it. And I think
absolutely
that
not.
I think it shows. Like I think I really do see you very business oriented, and I think you are like me in the sense of like calm. Like I feel like you have that very integrated as well, but to a further extent with that business knowledge that you have.
Right.
I think that like I have a little bit, and that's why like some things that I think we made this comparison earlier, and like I said, we'll get into this, but you have a whole like thing that we haven't even gone into with your DJ stuff.
Yeah.
And like often I used to think that I provided a lot with my DJ setup, but then like when I see your shit, I'm like, fuck, like like damn, like that's like the thing that you have going. I'm sorry that I'm teasing it out, but the thing that you have going
Right.
is like a taste of kind of like what I was doing, but it kind of just got overwhelming for me, where I was like, you know what, I'm one man, like I'm cool with this, like
Right.
this is cool for me, I don't need all that. And it's just because I didn't feel confident in the people around me to
Right.
like to do that.
Yeah.
Like I love my friends, but and they weren't really in that realm either. Like I didn't know people that I felt like fit like that part. So I just kept it to myself, and I was like, nah, you know what? The DJ thing is cool, and and then because of that, I just really dove into like DJ culture. Hence why I ended up being a DJ teacher. Like that was more my realm, but I did see that, and I think if I had that business knowledge, I probably would have went more the route that you did. But man, like I really do like admire, and that's exactly why I was so happy to have you on here because of that, because I know that you were going to shed some light. And I think B-Rock has a communications. He's either business major with a minor in communication, or flipped with communication with business minor.
Right.
But yeah, it's so interesting how you guys kind of operate, because you guys have that backing of the business sense. And yeah, man, like I don't know, like I feel like you definitely I would honestly say I feel like you were a sponge in that time frame, and you really have like taken everything that you learned in there and you ran with it.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's exactly what I did when I learned like DJing. Like I absorbed so much shit and I just ran with it. But like, so that's dope. Like I feel like you definitely utilize college,
Yeah.
And I always talk about this too, the fact that like people go to college and they'll have their degree in 4 years, but they don't have really anything to show for it. And it's because like they kind of just go in and out and they complete their homework and they keep their head down or whatever, and they're not like really taking it in for what it is. And it's really, I mean, the knowledge is important that you gain, of course, but also the people that you connect with, and really like utilizing as much as you can, like fucking squeeze that shit dry, like squeeze what you can out of college, because when you're on your own, man, you're on your own. And so if you have a professor that says that they worked for fucking SpaceX, and if anybody would like a tour, you fucking take that opportunity and you go on that tour. You never know what could happen. And the reason being behind it, because once you're out of college, bro, that opportunity is rare that gets presented. and it's not, and it probably could be around you, but you're not like, it's rare that it would even come up in a conversation, right, where like someone could just mention like, oh yeah, I work at SpaceX, but like it would be up to you to be like, oh, you do, like, could I take a tour, you know? But like in college, it's kind of like, it's like right there in front, like they would love to do that for you.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and there's a lot of people that would be like, oh, like whatever, you know. But that's the biggest flaw I feel like in like people going to college is that they don't like utilize it to its fullest, you know. And I didn't either for like maybe the first year or two. I was going and coming home. I was one of those people. And the thing that really got me, well, for one was DJing, but because I say for one, it was actually DJing. So the fact that I was a DJ, I made myself available to the campus, and then I worked as an audiovisual technician on campus, and because of that, I like that was my foot into being the campus DJ. But because I also worked there, I got familiar with like organizations, and people knew who I was. Like, that's the audiovisual tech guy, but he also DJs type of things, you know. And then, you know, that's really like where I really started to maximize like my utilization at college, and that's when I started to like get my gigs. And, you know, dude, to this day, like I'll do people like freshmen's fucking weddings that I DJ for the freshmen, so and then I you know, they'll be like, yeah, you probably don't remember, but yeah, you DJ'd my orientation.
That's so
you know,
crazy.
like it's happened, bro. It's happened multiple times.
All right.
So that's, you know, that's, like I said, that's my little like spiel on like, you know, really utilizing college.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah. Now that you bring it up, I think what's very important that you brought up was saying the connections you make. You know, you mentioned that 8 years in school was tough. No financial aid was tough. Obviously, I wasn't supporting myself just with, you know, the clubs, you know, during when I could, and the gigs that I had on the weekends.
Right.
So, you know, it got to a point where I'm working 2 part-time jobs. I'm going to school, and I got gigs on the weekend. You know what I mean? Like, it literally was like that for like good 4 years.
We need to hear that one more time for the people that say that they ain't got time.
Oh,
let me hear that one more time,
DJ
buddy.
Wally, I was working 2 part-time jobs,
there we go,
taking 3 classes, doing homework, and had gigs on the weekend.
Yes, sir.
You know?
Getting it done.
Why? Because I got no financial aid. If I want to get this degree, I got to fund it on my own.
Yeah.
You know, I got to pay for my books. I got to pay for my classes.
Yes, sir.
You know, I have to pass my classes. So I still have to do the homework. I still have to do the work, you know. And I still got to go to work. I can't call out and be like, hey, you know, I can't do this, you know. Like, sometimes I would literally work my schedule from like, I'm working one job from like 6 to 11. I got class at 12:30 to 5. And I'm showing up at work from 6 to 10 at my other part-time job. Staying up till 1 a.m. sometimes doing homework. Jeez. You know what I mean?
Yes,
and
sir.
it's like, it was like that literally for a good 4 years, man. And a lot of people don't know that. But
yeah,
I feel like that's why I'm a hustler.
You are a fucking hustler, bro.
You know, I would lose sleep. You know, even during 6 years, or I should say like 4 or 5 years during that, I was even in a relationship. So it's like, how do you juggle your girlfriend? How do you juggle 2 part-time jobs? How do you juggle, you know, your gigs, you know, college work, all of that? Like, you still got a family, you know, I still got my sister, I got my parents. It was like, bro, I sometimes look back and I still don't understand how I did it. It's just crazy to say that I was in school for 8 years, and you know, during those 8 years, there was some stuff that I would pull off that I'm like, bro, how did you do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How?
I mean, it's cool though. Like, I'm sure like you commend yourself. Like, you give yourself that, you know, it's important to give yourself that pat on the back. Like, bro, I mean, it's cool too going through all that, because now when you do things, it's like, bro, you got no room to talk. Like, bro, all you got, you know, and I'm air quoting here, but like, it's like, all you got now is a job, and I don't know. Do you have a girlfriend?
Yes, right now I do.
Okay, so you're like, all I got right now is a job and a girlfriend. So, you know, when I was doing that shit in college, I had way more on my plate. So anything right now, I could do that shit. Like, if that's one thing that thing has taught me, is that you can fucking do it. If you really want to do it. So, you know, that's something for you, like in your own self-worth, you know, like, yeah, man, I fucking can do this. You know, if I'm stressing about, trying to, you know, having 2 gigs on the same day, like, bro, you can do it.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Oh, absolutely. And I laugh sometimes because you know, I've obviously have gone full time in DJing, but you know, somewhere in between there, I've taken, you know, some part time jobs, some full time jobs, and I hear coworkers, you know, or peers, and them complaining. I got school. I'm like, how many classes you got? 2. You know, they're working 8 hours.
2-unit classes.
You know, they got like, you know, they're averaging 24 hours a week. You know, they're taking 2 classes. They come into work and they're like, I have so much homework to do. I got this to do, and I'm just kind of like, bruh, if only you knew. Yeah. If only you knew. You know what I'm like, in my mind, I'm just like,
for sure.
You know, I wish I could, you know, challenge them and be like, dude, like, this is what I used to do. And, you know, doing, you know, X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and, you know, and more.
Yeah.
But going back to the connections, you know, so just wanted to give you a little background on those 8 years of like how tough it was for me, you know, and everything that happened. The connections.
Oh, yeah.
Where I'm at today is because of those 8 years of college and the connections I made.
Right.
You know, same thing. Like I said, how did I meet the club promoter and to get into the clubs? College. Right. I got into a program called Golden Eagle Radio, Cal State LA's first webcast radio station. I joined when they were still trying to figure out, like, hey, what equipment do we need to buy? What is it that we need to form this radio station?
Right.
The connections I made. I'm going to mention some very important people, you know, during college. DJ Waldo, Price Waldo, Sophie Biggs. She now works for 97.1. DJ Vinnie Mac. These are 3 people.
Vinnie Mac,
you know Vinnie Mac.
Yeah, I was kicking with him like 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
3 weeks maybe.
Okay, so those 3 people were like the first 3 people I met when I joined Golden Eagle Radio in college. You know, little young DJ Estradation. I see Price Waldo, DJ Waldo DJing on campus. Vinnie Mac is next to him.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, show up to this meeting on Monday so you can meet our president. President being, you know, Sophie. And I'm there. And little by little, like, you know, you kind of start breaking down those walls. I'm like, hey, I'm a DJ too. This is the equipment I have. This is what,
That's cool that they were cool. Because my campus, they were assholes.
Man.
They were dicks. They didn't respect me until they start seeing me take their gigs. And they're like, oh, maybe we should get acquainted with this guy.
Gotcha.
You know, because, like, if not...
They had the regular, huh? Like a... What is it, a janitor?
No,
I've heard some colleges like, the janitor.
I'm not going to lie. They had a good-ass DJ.
Oh, okay.
But he was kind of on his way out. And then the other I don't want to, like, bash on anybody. But the other DJs there just, like, they were... I'll say they were cool, but they weren't me. Like, I knew my shit to the T.
Oh, yeah.
You know, these guys were kind of still learning. So the fact that I knew my shit to the T, it definitely, like, it put me ahead of them. You know, like, they might have been DJing for 5 years, and I might have been DJing for, like, 2, quote.
Yeah.
But because of Scratch, it set me up way, like, I knew my shit, and I was doing my shit way better than them.
Absolutely.
So I definitely, like, I looked good, you know. And like I said, once I started fucking taking gigs, people started to acknowledge me, like, oh, okay, like, and I was nice. I was never fucking like, fuck you, you know. I was always super friendly. But if you didn't want to fuck with me, that's fine.
I gotcha.
So like I said, once I started to I proved my worth. People were like, oh, like, what's this guy? I should be his friend.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, absolutely. That's how it works. Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, that's cool because I mean that you had that. Like I said,
absolutely.
Vinnie Mac is cool. You know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Price Waldo, DJ Price.
Yeah.
So phenomenal, amazing people till this day, man. That, like, I'm just grateful that I met those people. You know, because it's crazy how I meet them. I join Golden Eagle Radio. We're still trying to figure out how we can, you know, start a radio station.
Right.
You know, we have our advisor, you know, trying to help us, like, hey, this is what you need, trying to get us the funding, trying to convince the school of, like, look, this is necessary. There's kids, there's students out there that are, you know, that are passionate about radio, that are passionate about music and stuff. So it just felt good because right from the bat, I became like I had joined this family, and the way they welcomed me and the way they guided me, even till this day, to see them grow, you know, career-wise and where they're at and where they're gonna go eventually. And for me to be able to say, like, damn, I was part of Cal State LA's first webcast radio station. So, you know, when I joined the radio, gigs were going well for me, so I was able to fund some really good equipment. At that time, the Rain 62 came out, so I owned the Rain 62 Z-Trip edition. So it was like, cool 62 mixture with the Z-Trip logo on it, purple, some cool faders on it. I still had my 1200s. I had more speakers. And my boy Vinny Mac is like bringing his equipment whenever he could to promote the radio station. So it got to a point where they were like asking me, like, do you mind bringing your equipment? So for a good couple of years, like, I'm letting them borrow. Like, I'm going to school, doing what I got to do, and letting other DJs and other people, like, hey, you can use my 1200s, you can use my 62, my equipment. And, you're building connections. So I'm just glad that they were able to appreciate, like, hey, he's letting us borrow his equipment. Like, let's respect him. I know I earned some respect, to a point where they were like, man, this guy's, like, he's cool, he's humble, he lets us borrow his equipment. He doesn't charge us for it. He's doing it for the greater good of the station. You know what I mean? And I felt that same sense from them.
And that's effort.
Yeah, right, that effort. So we build this radio station. I start meeting other people, Nico Blitz, DJ Chicho.
Oh, yeah, Nico has a podcast.
Yeah, shout out to Lunch Tables.
I don't know him personally, but he seems like a nice guy.
Man, awesome. One of the greatest people that I've met in college.
That's cool.
Nico Blitz.
That's cool that he went there too. I didn't even know that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. These are all people that I met at Cal State LA, that I met during Golden Eagle Radio. DJ Chicho, DJ Gavino, DJ Chicky Baby, and I just kind of want to go down the list and because I feel like Cal State LA doesn't give us enough credit for what it is that we built. For Golden Eagle Radio, bro, Golden Eagle Radio, a station, formed by the students for the students. When Cal State LA didn't have none of that, we fought, with the president, multiple times. We fought with, school programs that fund clubs, to be able to, hey, we just want a freaking radio station. Fast forward to where we're at today, DJ Sofanom. Working for 97.1. Nico Blitz, joined iHeartMedia, has a very successful podcast, The Lunch Table Talks. DJ Vinny Mac, who joined Power 106, did some shows with Jessica Flores on Cali 93.9. Believe it or not, Yoli and DJ Tony AM, they work for Mega 96.3. They have their show Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. From like 7 p.m. to midnight. Also a product of Golden Eagle Radio. DJ Chicky Baby working for Mega 96.3.
Nice.
And their street team. I'm trying to remember what else. But yeah, just naming those people, like, bro, that was all product of Golden Eagle Radio. And it's like, I don't think the school recognizes like how many people we have out on radio that have been successful, that have been on live shows, bro. Like,
because of the program.
Because of the program, And even if it wasn't the program, like, how cool like that sounds to be like, yeah, bro, like, I went to school with, Sofanom. I went to school with Vinny Mac.
Well, because of the program and because of like what you guys created.
And it's like, it's
what just, you guys like seeded. And, let grow.
And it just feels good to be able to be like, man, like, I know these people. Like, like we built something at school. We left an impact. And, and till this day, they're still kind of living, the new people that are on
legacy.
There. They're still continuing the legacy.
I mean, which makes me sad because I did actually start a DJ club at Cal State. And I don't think it's going anymore.
It's not going on anymore?
But, I mean, it did hold a torch for a while. But, like, unfortunately, I created it in, like, my, like, senior or, like, junior, like, my last 2 years, and so. And there wasn't. The people there that were in it, like, they were cool, but they weren't, like, they didn't have, I don't know, like, the wisdom that I had from scratch, and so I really knew how to make things happen. Kind of like you, like, I was the one to make sure that this shit got done. I only had one other person, and he was really good at that, but he was also, like, on his way out, too, so... I knew that when I left, the torch would get passed to him. And he would take care of shit. But then
he was on his way out.
When he left, it was like, who the fuck's going to carry it? And it wasn't anybody really that reliable, But, I mean, that's awesome, bro. That's really awesome.
So, connections. Like, how important college was. And I look back and I'm like, could you imagine if I would have finished college in 4 years? Right? Because it wasn't until, like, my third, fourth year that I found out that there was some group of people, some DJs that were trying to start a radio station. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's like, because I stayed those extra 4 years, I was able to help build that. Mm-hmm. I was able to make those connections. And till this day, like, I am very close with these people. I am still in touch with them. And it just feels good to be like, damn, like, homeboy's working here. You know, this person's doing this person's doing that. And not only that, but also them kind of looking back at me and them seeing me grow and kind of also give me that praise and be like, damn, Estradation, like, I remember when you were doing this and look at what you're doing now, you know, like how important college is beyond, you know, the education and the work that you do, but really the connections. I feel like that's what made college worth it. And I would definitely encourage, like, a lot of the people listening, for whatever it is, like, you know, college can get stressful, especially now during the pandemic. Like, I don't know how they would be able to do it as far as like joining a club or joining, you know what I mean? Like how it's going to change. But eventually when we do go back, right, and we go back into in school stuff, like, I don't care if you're a commuter school, because Cal State LA was a commuter school. I'm sure your school was a commuter school. Was a commuter. Join the clubs, join that sorority, join that fraternity, meet those connections, make friends. Like, you don't know how much value that's going to be in the future. For sure. You know, when, like you were saying, it's so crazy, bro. Like, you had a freshman, somebody you DJ'd at their freshman orientation, and they got married a couple years later, and you're DJing at their wedding. For sure. Like, definitely. Yeah. Dude, like, they'd be like, dude, and they hit me up all the time. They're like, you don't remember me? I'm like, bro, I DJ'd, you know, I've been DJing for the freshmen for like the past like 5 6 years. Yeah, there we go. This year is actually the year that I actually miss, and it's just, I'm assuming it's because of COVID. Well, because of COVID, man. Yeah, absolutely. But they book me for like the past 6 years. You know? I'm sure, man. Yeah. And then it'll continue, you know, because people want DJ Wally, you know, and you have that legacy with your school, and it's like, why not continue it? You know, and, you know, referring back to the business sense, but I've always, you know, held up a very like strong like image and like you know I've taken care of my business kind of like you have, you know, like, you know, even little shit, but like looking the part, dressing the part, fucking arriving on time, you're here fucking on the dot, you know, like all that shit. It shows and it you know, it helps the client, it helps smooth things over with the client. Like, I don't think that, well, okay, I'm not going to say that I think that I'm the best DJ, you know, for sure. I don't think that I'm the best DJ, but I definitely, like, it's so easy to work with me, you know, because they know that I'm going to do good. They know that I'm going to handle all my shit. Like, dude, they ask me for like my business insurance and all this shit like that. Like, I get that shit back to them within an hour. You know, like, there's no twisting of an arm. Like, I know that a lot of times they'll tell me that, like, they'll call me like after a couple DJs, you know, because in all fairness, I have been DJing them for years. And so, yeah, I'm sure that they're trying to like spread the opportunity or whatever, you know, whatever, or even if they're just trying to hook up their homie, whatever it is, right? But often it's like, man, I've been trying to get a hold of so-and-so, and I can't even get a call back. You know, I can't even get a text back. Yeah. And as soon as I call, you answer like after the second ring. Right. You know, and they're like, it's just so easy with you. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, this is what I love to do. And I know that, I just know how important that is, you know? I'm sure that you've talked to clients where they're like, dude, I'll book you just on the fact that you answered your phone. Like, I appreciate that. Oh, yeah. You know, like, I've been hitting up DJs all week and no one's gotten back to me, you know? Yeah. But simple shit like that. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. How you conduct your business. You know? Oh, yeah. Just, it's the little things, you know, that little stuff that, you know, like you said, you answering the phone, you having insurance, you know, I can't tell you enough how many times, like, I'll get, you know, calling somebody tells me like, oh, this person didn't have insurance. This person was charging this much, but they didn't have insurance. Or this person, you know, because they didn't have this, or we requested this, like, they didn't have, you know what I mean? Right. It's like, there's been many situations where I've been in, and it's like, do you have this? And I don't have it. But I tell them that I do, because I'm going to figure it out up until that point. Because I know that the gig is going to be a month from now or whenever it is, you know? And like, I'll give examples of that, like, you know, a little bit later, like, because that'll explain how I became so successful in the gig industry. Yeah, you know what? I think we can stop teasing it out, and let's go into that. Yeah. Like, so, you know, go ahead and explain to them, like, what I've kind of been, you know, this moment's been leading up to as far as, like, what I'm talking about. So, you know, you do mobile stuff,
and you have, let's explain it however best you want to explain
no,
it.
absolutely. Yeah. So
I won't even try to like steer that way. You go ahead.
Yeah, before we get there, just finish up the college things, 8 years of school. I just want to give a shout out. Just remembering a bunch of other people that I met that were very big, that were huge influences in my career and that I like appreciate a lot. DJ Soundwave. Shout out to DJ Soundwave. Junior Tron, man, one of my favorite DJs, Junior Tron.
That's my guy.
Yeah, your
Junior,
guy, Junior
I love
Tron.
you, bro.
Yeah,
I miss you.
Hope
you're doing good, bro.
Because of college, yeah, man.
You better
Junior
listen to
Tron.
this, so I'm gonna kick your ass.
No, I'll make sure. I'm gonna tag him. I'll be like, yo, I mentioned you guys in this podcast, so you guys better listen to the whole thing until you find it, so we can get those listens.
You know we can talk, bro.
Yeah. So them. And again, sorry if I miss anybody, but like I mentioned, some of those people that were very influential in me. But so we fast forward to where we're at now. We have one of the most successful, DJ entertainment, groups in Los Angeles. And I say that proudly because I get praise from a lot of people, man. Mm-hmm. And I try to like just kind of brush it off, but it just gets to a point where you just have to like, everything that we've talked about, all the struggles that, that I went through to get to this moment.
Yeah.
To a point where you're like, you know what, I gotta give myself a pat in the back.
For sure.
And it's incredible. But yeah, man. So, I have my mobile DJ business. Right. I call it an entertainment group because I not only go up there and DJ, but I like to entertain. So how is it that I entertain, right? I'm very vocal on the mic. I'm very interactive with the guests, with the people that we're celebrating or whatever it is that we're celebrating. We do this thing called the Crazy Hour. We allocate an hour where we bring out party favors. We bring out an environment that you really can't find anywhere. I like to call it like kind of like what you see in Vegas, where like you see these crazy robots, these CO2 cannons, confetti, within an hour, playing this really good music and everybody interacting. We have a photo booth, so we also offer photo booth, and other things that I don't have.
If any of you guys are looking for a DJ.
You're doing a wedding.
You're doing after COVID passes. After COVID. Or I don't know. Are you open for business?
Bro. Yeah, we are, but we are taking the precautions necessary.
Okay.
We understand.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I did one like 2 weeks ago. I did like a house party.
Yeah, see, so it's like but everybody, you just gotta take your precautions, man.
Yeah.
I think at this point that's what's important. But yeah,
wear your mask like
wear your mask, man. That's what you gotta do. Wash your hands. Have that hand sanitizer, bro. Yeah, luckily, we as DJs though, we're like away from the crowd, so in a sense, like I feel really comfortable being there in that environment because you're kind of off to the side or you're on your stage and everybody's just
you don't have anyone really hanging out.
You really don't have anybody, and you're the first one to get there and you're the last one to leave. Right. So it's kind of like you
have like 2 interactions.
Oh, absolutely,
for the most part.
We have that, and then again going back to the connections you make. I've met a lot of bartenders. I've met a lot of live bands. I've met a lot of people in the industry that do like balloons, that do decorations, party planners and stuff like that. And it's people that you meet, within the industry and different gigs, and you leave a certain impression to the point where they're like, dude, I've been a party planner for like, I've gotten this before where they're like, I've been a party planner for 20 years. And they're like, in my 20 years, I've never seen a DJ do this. You know what I mean? I've seen bartenders where they'll be like, bro, like, is that all you? Like, meaning them saying, like, did you do the Crazy Hour? Did you do all that presentation, all that I'm seeing on your, and the photo booth this year? You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, so it got to a point where, like, people are like, I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of this entertainment group,
Yeah.
And I think what's important is the people that I surround myself with and the people that have that support me.
Yeah.
I think you made mention where it's like, man, my friends weren't reliable.
Yeah.
I don't think I got tired of it because I didn't have no one. Yeah. So huge shout out obviously to Papa Estradation, for helping me fund everything, up until this day. But two crucial people.
Estrada, bro.
Oh yeah, it's the Estrada stuff. But definitely two important people that we can't leave out of Estradation Entertainment is my sister, Gigi Estrada, Gigi Lou Makeup, and my boy Jay Robles, who's also a DJ, who does that. But because of them, I'm able to have the photo booth. Because of them, I'm able to offer all this equipment and all that. Because could you imagine me doing all of that stuff just on my own? I wouldn't do it.
Well, I can't because I was,
Wally, I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for those two people.
Yeah.
because
Sure.
you know how, I mean, you already know how much work it is. You're the first one there.
Mm-hmm.
You got to set up, right? And then you're the last one to leave, you know?
That's why I tell people, you know,
Yeah.
like even though someone might see, all right, I want to hire you for a 4-hour gig, it's like it's never a 4-hour
No,
gig
it's never
for
a
me.
4 hour. Never.
Bare minimum, it takes me 30 minutes to set up, 30 minutes to set down, so that's another
Your
hour.
commute there.
And then I want to say bare minimum because often it's further.
You got to
than 30
get your
minutes.
equipment ready before that even. You got to get your music ready.
Yeah. So arguably, I mean, that's an 8-hour day. If we're just talking setup and like the day of kind of thing. But yeah, we're not mentioning like
The
unloading.
stuff leading up to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because if you do a wedding, bro, it's like they have specific songs they want. They have a specific schedule, and you're not the party planner. You're the DJ, bro.
Yeah.
But it's like the fact that like you have to like contact the bride and be in touch with them, and you know all that is time consuming, and you got to make sure you have the right amount.
Time is money.
Song. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So you understand that. So if it wasn't because of those two individuals, like I don't think I would be able to do this. Dude.
For sure.
I really couldn't because not only did they take care of the photo booth, they also helped me with the crazy hour.
Yeah.
They helped me with setup. They helped me with breakdown.
Yeah.
Like, bro, my sister could easily be doing something else she wanted to on the weekends, bro. They're sacrificing their weekends.
Sure.
My boy Jay Robles, same thing. He's a DJ. He's out doing his thing. But the fact that they believe in me and they're like, you know what, like Estradation takes good care of me. I enjoy what he does. I enjoy what I do as well. Like, it's just awesome.
Yeah,
like,
and
to have people like that. In your life.
I mean, it's funny. Like I said, I've never even been. The only one I know that's been with you is MJ.
Oh,
but like,
absolutely.
I feel like, and you could just be fucking really good at talking, but I highly doubt that. Just because of the conversation we had, I can almost guarantee that you fucking, you lead by example. So like, I know that you're fucking right there, like hustling all this shit out right next to them.
Right.
So. I'm sure that it's a no-brainer. Like, it, like we were talking about my job. Like, here's somebody that I couldn't fathom working for, and these guys are like, I can't fathom working for anyone else because of how good of a person you are, but how like I'm sure like everything probably aligns. Like,
right.
I get paid good. My boss is cool.
Yeah.
The actual thing that we're doing is fun. Like all that shit is like, okay, this is perfect. Like I can be here.
Yeah.
And it's no problem. It's not an issue to me.
Right.
And not to mention like it's supporting of in support of someone that like that they care about too. So it's like there's a love like interest that like your sister loves you. I'm sure at this point maybe Jay won't say it out loud, but he loves you.
Oh, absolutely.
He loves you. I don't know if he does. I don't know that personally.
We'll ask him. I'll ask him separate and we'll update him.
Hey
on
bro,
that.
do you love me?
Do you love me? I'm gonna ask him straight up. Like I'm gonna look right in his eyes. Like, bro, do you love me?
He's like, are you coming at me as a friend or a boss? Like both, bro.
Right.
You fucking love me, dog.
Yeah. No, but yeah, man, these
just catch him. It'll be funny. Just do a live with him one day.
Right.
Hey, bro, I've always wanted to ask you this. You love me?
Like, what is this guy asking that? Well, we got to do that before we put out the podcast, so we can get a nice, like, clear reaction.
He's like, I know the answer to this.
Yes.
Yes, I do. Yeah. I do. Without hesitation.
Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, man, thanks to them, And again, like I said, I've been in the business for, 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
So everything leading up to that first day that I started DJing up until till now,
right.
The amount of people that, have just supported me and have seen me grow and are still there and admire the work that I do. When I go out to a gig and I always give it my 100%, and I'm very specific with how I want things to be done. And I always make sure my team understands that, that I make my sister and Jay understand that it's like, yeah, I'm the face of the company and I'm going to do things this certain way, but I need you guys to also step up and do it the same way, So the fact that I've built my team to be on the same page, even when I bring in people from the outside and I tell them like, look, maybe this is how you do your gigs, bro, but just out of respect, just know this is how I do it because I want I want it to be this way, you know, like how you were talking about, like we strive for perfection. That's, you know, we can't be perfect, but we're working towards it. That's how I want every gig to be. You know, I want it to be that certain way because you never know who's in the crowd watching, you know,
For sure.
the bartender, the party planners, you know, the venue owners. You know, I've even had waiters and waitresses that are like serving the food and they're like, bro, like we do weddings all year. And they're like, and you did this? Like, wow, like I've never seen that. You know what I mean? So it gets to a point where like I've built my reputation, you know, around Los Angeles, not only with guests and with people that I've done, but with other vendors, you know, bartenders, mariachis, live bands.
I do want to take a little learning tip.
Yeah.
And that's actually, I think some of the people might be wondering, but I'm also personally wondering, so it's good to flesh it out. But you provide, what do you like, as far as like, let's just say if I contact you for my wedding, like what is it that you immediately provide? And then we can talk about like, as far as like, you know, for instance, like DJ service, MC,
the sound,
bartender,
the lighting. So just me, myself. So okay, I see where you're going. So like, just me, myself. You and your crew. Just me and my crew. So we're talking about DJ Estradation. We're talking about Gigi. And we're talking about Jay.
Right.
You know, those three people. What we provide is DJ, MC, services, lighting. What do I mean by lighting? Up lighting, monogram. We have the photo booth.
Right.
And the crazy hour.
Okay.
Right.
Cool.
That's it.
Okay.
That's all I provide.
Okay. Cool. So then. The part that this is kind of getting into is like, when you meet, I mean, I feel like you do. So do you make it a point to, let's say you meet the photographer on the day of the wedding, right? Do you have something in your head, like where you make it a point to do what, and what is that? Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to set up all the wedding, blah, blah. And I make it, you, every time you do a wedding, you make it a point to get the photographer's email, or you make it a point to get their Instagram. Like, what do you do something like
absolutely,
that? So
absolutely.
what is that? I want to learn.
So it's a mix between business cards and a mix between Instagram and social media.
Okay.
Definitely. It's crazy to say it, but it's like after they see the crazy hour, like that's like the turning point. Like after they see the crazy hour and what we've done, it's kind of like they kind of like are attracted to that.
They want to befriend you.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So they come, and so right away it's just like, oh, they want to exchange business cards, right? So I give them a business card. They want to exchange information. I give them, you know, my Instagram. I follow them back right away.
But do you if that let's just say that turning point didn't happen for anyone like us, because we don't have like the crazy hour or anything. But do you actually, like, you know, before the gig starts, like, do you make it a point to do something like that?
Oh, absolutely. I've even done things where, because I'm the first person to be there, I make sure to put a few business cards on the table. You know, because some people might be shy to come.
On what table?
On the guest tables.
Oh,
you know?
Okay.
So, bro, how much is 250 business cards going to cost you? $10.
Yeah.
You know?
Nothing.
But if I'm going to get a gig out of that, you know, if I have to put a business card in
just to clarify, for when you do that, are you doing that at are you doing that at weddings? Are you doing that at
every party?
Everything?
Every party. Every party that you go to.
No one's ever complained about that? Because, like, to me personally, I don't know. Like, I'm just curious. Like, I feel like maybe a client could say, like, oh, like, that's kind of like, it's not a part of the decoration. I see what you mean. So it's not like, it's like tacky or something.
I get you.
Or do you just put it on their
You just kind of read it. You kind of read it. Like,
depends on the client, you're saying?
Right. Depends on the client or the event. Exactly. Yeah. So, because obviously, I see what you mean. I'm not gonna do it like at a wedding, you know, and they have like their nice setup, and there's like a random DJ Estradation business card there.
Exactly. Because it'll ruin like the presentation of like, well, they just fucking.
I always like to introduce myself. To the guest. I make sure I let them know, like, hey, my name is Eric Estrada, DJ Estradation.
To all the guests?
To all the guests. Like, before I'm about to, let's say, start the program. And this is every party. Because it could be a birthday party. It could be a wedding. You know, I've been to a lot of events.
So you usually give yourself, like
a minute.
Like 30. Oh, you use 1 minute?
I just give myself a minute. I'm like, hey.
To walk around to everybody?
No. With my mic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I just walk in front of my equipment, you know, or dance floor or whatever. I make sure they can see me and they can hear me. I'm like, you know, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, or buenas tardes, damas y caballeros. You know, my name is Eric Estrada. I go by the name of DJ Estradation. I am tonight's entertainment. What does entertainment mean? I'm the one who's going to be providing, you know, this fun, you know, and awesome environment
I'm
for you
learning,
guys.
people.
You
I'm
know,
learning.
DJing. If you have any requests, please feel free to come up to me, or I'm gonna have my phone number on my TV. Make sure to text me. Some requests. Make sure to check me out on Instagram at DJ Estradation. We also have the photo booth available. Say hi to Gigi Lou and Jay. I like to introduce them as well, so they know who they are, right? And they know that we're part of the team. And that's it. We're gonna go ahead and continue with whatever it is, whether it's dinner or the program. Thank you guys so much for listening. Let's go ahead and continue with tonight's music, and that's it. A minute. That's all you need. 60 seconds.
Oh yeah, I get you.
So they heard you talk, whether it's in English or in Spanish,
right?
And that already is like, oh, okay, like cool, like. We know there's Jay. We know that's Gigi. We know his name is Eric. We know he told us that we can go up to him or we can text him, if he wants to do that. So I don't even need to leave a business. I see what you mean. When it comes to that, all that. After the crazy hour, once people have seen that environment and have experienced it, before I'm about to transition into the next song, I make sure to let them know, like, did you guys have fun? And, most of the time everybody's like, everybody just had a great time. And I let them know, feel free to come up here if you want a business card, in that sense that I haven't left the business card. If I have, whether it's a birthday party or a religious event, or I can leave my business cards, I let them know. Just want to let you guys know, I left you guys some business cards on the table for any event. Please feel free to let us know. We can take care of your DJ, MC, photo booth services, and more. I always like to mention and more.
And it's cool. I mean, I was trying to envision myself doing something like that, but I could see now like how a helping hand could help.
Oh, absolutely.
Because like I do, and I think people trip out on this, but I do a lot of weddings and shit by myself, bro.
Oh.
Like I crack,
I don't know how you do it.
I crack out a lot of those by myself. But I mean, given I'm not providing the same thing that you are, but I mean, what I usually do when I would do by myself is like I would do the ceremony and like the reception by myself and usually just a few uplights. Like I don't have a shitload of uplights,
right.
So it's manageable for me to do it by myself. And of course I could always have an extra hand, but I just know that's one more mouth to feed.
Right.
So if I can do it by myself, I'll try. And as long as I give myself ample time, whatever. I think more often now though, I have been like, if I know it's going to be a big one, then I'll get help. But I mean, if it's only two of my 12s and then 2 8s, that speaker setup, I can handle that.
Right.
But if it's like those and the subs, then I'll always like
those subs are a backbreaker.
Yeah, man. I'll always get somebody to help me out with that. But yeah, that is interesting. And so back to that whole thing. So like the photographer, like do you make it like mandatory in your head that you have to do that, like exchange information with them? I'm just
so it's gotten to a point where at the beginning, yes.
Okay.
Because I wanted to collaborate with someone.
Yeah.
Right. I wanted to be able to be that one-stop shop where they're like, hey, not only does this guy deliver, DJ services, photo booth and whatnot, but he also has those photographers and whatnot.
And then what do you do with like, let's say you get to the wedding, you meet the photographer, right? And you get home. What's the practice then? So do you put that in a fucking folder?
Yes.
Do you just you do?
Yeah. So I have a little it's a little folio that I bought at Staples, and it's for like business cards and whatnot. And so I have them categorized, so it'll just be like caterers, taco stands, mariachis, like bands, photographers.
My man, I'm fucking learning here, man.
Oh, well, I think that's important.
Yeah.
That's very important because at some point, whether you need it or one of your guests need it,
right.
I don't know, they need a bartender. Could you imagine how your client is going to sound like, oh, yeah, I know somebody, I know somebody. And they don't have to go through the hassle. I think that's what clients like, the convenience.
For sure.
Convenience.
For sure.
So, whether it's by chance that they ask you that they're looking for a bartender,
right.
The fact that you have X, Y, and Z, what I tend to do is like, I like to kind of rotate them. So it's like, I already know who I'm like, damn, these are like my favorite like bartenders. So I tend to kind of like just ask them further questions like, do you have a budget? Like, and I was like, because same thing, like we're gonna go to the same thing that like, oh, maybe this bartender charges. I kind of know around what they charge because I booked them for my personal event, so I kind of know like, all right, these are my go-to. But let's give these people an opportunity too because So I'll give them a few numbers. I'm like, here, look, these are the people that I've worked with before, and whatever it is. I like to also write the date, kind of like and like a key word of like knowing like, oh, this was at a wedding. or this was at a quince. You know what I mean?
Learning people.
Yeah. Just get a Sharpie marker, bro, and just write it in the back.
No, it's
Be
smart.
Like, this was
It makes
420,
sense. It makes sense.
2019.
That's what I do when I meet girls at the club. I fucking put a little. I'll be like, oh yeah, this is the one with the red dress. Or this is Club 54.
Yeah, Club 54.
Hey man, I really do be putting little notes like that, bro, when I meet people. But it's the
Yeah.
same kind of concept.
No, yeah,
you
it's
know,
the same
for
thing.
real,
Yeah. So like I've obviously built my portfolio, and so it's to a point where it's like, damn, like I can't fit any more business cards, so it's kind of like more social media. You know,
Yeah.
so it's like, let me have your Instagram. You know,
Yeah.
so when somebody hits me up and they're like, hey, do you know so and so? I just kind of go like, I just type in a keyword like on my Instagram, like bartending, and then like I already have like my suggestions popping up. You know?
And do you contact like the photographer like the week after and be like, hey, I need photos of me. Can I get those? Do you do any of that?
You know what? No. I've never done that. I think because my sister does a really good job of already getting footage for me. You get what I'm saying? So it's like 90% of the time, I'm booked DJ and photo booth.
Right.
So when having DJ and photo booth, it's 100% that Jay's gonna be there, and it's 100% that Gigi Lou's gonna be there. So by them being there, like it gets to a point where like there's a lot of downtime in the photo booth, and going back to like how is it that you get your name out there? Having the photo booth was probably one of the best investments I ever did, because when people go to the photo booth, they don't assume that the photo booth, even before I've done the announcement about the photo booth, some people are like, don't get it that the photo booth is also with the DJ. So when they have business cards of me at the photo booth, like right away, my sister will do a good job, or Jay will do a good job. It's like, oh, we're with the DJ. Oh, you're with the DJ? Again, going back to convenience of them being like, damn, like this DJ brought the photo booth, you know, and you know what I mean? And I like to have things uniform. You know, again, letting them know like we like to wear all black. We sometimes wear our polos with my logo on it. Everything being uniform, you know. So when they go to the photo booth, Jay and Gigi Lou already know how they have to interact with our guests. I don't want to be that photo booth where like guests will walk up and they're just quiet and they're just kind of like, oh, do this. No, again, going back to the entertainment. You know, I tell Gigi Lou, I tell Jay, like, bro, bring out your personality. Like, let's interact with our guests. You know.
I had that was a learning experience that I had one time, because like I was DJing a big college party and I had like my cousin and my uncles and shit like running my little. I had like a canopy tent, right? So they're running it, and it's funny because I remember like I don't know if I was in the background. I don't remember how I know this, but I just know that it happened. And like, for instance, like somebody came up and they were like, oh, you know, your cousin's really dope. Or they're like, the DJ is really dope. You know, how do you guys know him? And my cousin was like, oh, that's my cousin. And, you know, they asked like, how much does he charge? And then she said like, oh, he's kind of expensive, you know. And it's like, motherfucker, don't be saying that. Yeah. Like, no, you gotta like
that's a big,
ride or die for the brand, you know. But like, oh, you know, like, we don't really know like what the prices are, but you just got to email him and he'll give you like you know a quote or something like that. It could have been that, you know, but they didn't have that like layout. I mean, granted, they did do it like voluntarily, so I'd love them to death, you know, whatever. But it was something that I learned like when I heard that, I was like, motherfucker, you gotta be like, you know, like, you gotta represent for me. Don't be fucking saying, "Oh, he's expensive." No, like, you don't want to get this guy. You know?
No,
you know. But I mean, my cousin was like 14. You know, and my uncle was.
So you gotta give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. No, I mean, I wasn't tripping, but you know, like I said, you do learn like, you know, all this shit has gotta be aligned. You know, everybody's gotta be for the team. You know.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So, yeah, it's just a matter of being on the same page with your team, you know. And luckily I have that team that like represents me very well, you know. So it's gotten to a point where it's like we arrive to the gig, they already know what we got to do. We just got to figure out where we're gonna set up. And it's like they know where they have to set up the photo booth. I know where I got to set up my sound. Everybody takes care of what they need to do. Guests arrive, it's go time.
Yes,
you
sir.
know, and we have to be professional. You know, and I commend them a lot because. I know that they put up with a lot more bullshit than I do because, you know, you being the DJ, you know, we laugh at how like, oh, you know, the drunk girl is going to come and, you know, ask you for a request or so-and-so is going to do this, you know. When you're actually in the photo booth, like dealing with the kids, dealing with the props, dealing with the drunk, you know, guests that are constantly going up to the photo booth, you know, it's just stuff that, like, when you're DJing, it's not like you have a constant flow of people, like, going up to you. You get what I'm saying? But at the photo booth, like, you're exposed to all that. So It's like, it's crazy how we've gotten to that point where I'm like, at first I was like, keep it professional. I know it's getting frustrating. I know this kid is doing this. I know this person is drunk. I know this person might be hitting on you, but let's keep a face. We're doing this for Estradation Entertainment because you never know who that person is, you know? And so because we do this and because we're all on the same page and people see the work ethic and the professionalism that we keep, you leave an impression to the point where it's like, in my future events, I want this guy. You get what I'm saying?
I want this entertainment.
Yeah, I want this
entertainment company.
Right. I want this entertainment company.
Yeah.
And so the reason why I like to say and more is because when people call me and they'll say like, hey, do you have the sparklers? Hey, do you have Dancing in the Clouds? Hey, do you have the TVs? Hey, do you know this? Do you know that? You know, I've learned something where it's like, you never say no to a client. I tell them yes. And that's where like, I'll figure it out. You know what I mean? So it's like I've used MJ before. Like he has Dancing in the Clouds. He has TVs. I have other friends like DJ Libra, DJ AO, other gig DJs that I've learned, that I've met, you know, in the industry.
Right.
To the point where it's like, I might not have that, but I know a guy. So it's like, I know what I'm going to charge a price, and I know I might need to charge a little bit more because I need to cover the sparklers, because I need to cover the Dancing in the Clouds. You get what I'm saying?
And it's funny that you say that because that's actually like, early on, that's how I got one of my biggest gigs. And it was like, it was probably like my third, fourth year of DJing, and fucking a pharmacy company like RX, you know, that big pharmacy company.
Right.
They hit me up for their company party.
Wow.
And that was going to be like my biggest gig that I ever did. And they were asking me like, do you have, you know, they could tell that I was young.
I gotcha.
And I'm assuming that my price was probably a lot different than the guys that they had quoted. But, you know, for me, I was just eager to work, and so it wasn't a big deal. But anyways, they asked me, so first they asked me for a quote, and I sent the quote, and then they were like, oh yeah, we want to have a phone interview with you. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, all right, well, you know, like I said, I was a kid, you know, so I was like, whatever, yeah, like, that's fine. I'm a good talker. I don't, you know, I can conduct myself in a professional manner, you know? So sure enough, I talked to them, and they asked me, one of the questions was, they asked me if I had the insurance. And I was like, honestly, I don't have it, but, you know, if that's what it takes for me to get the gig, then I can gladly get it. I have never needed it. And they're like, okay. So they had that conversation, and they called me back like a couple of days later. And yeah, you know, they're like, we would like to hire you. And it was a younger like lady. She was cool, and she was like, you know, actually we called like about 3 other DJs, like we interviewed them, and we had some DJs. I know you only been DJing for 4 years, and some of these guys were kind of in the game for like 10, and then we called some like radio DJ, and honestly, like, you know, we just decided we'd go with you. And I asked, I was like, you know, if you don't mind me asking, like, you know, what made you like want to go with me? And she's like, honestly, I like the fact that when I asked you about the insurance and you saying that you didn't have it, I like how eager and easy it was for you to say, you know, I don't have that, but I'll do it, and that's no problem, you know. And that was really like, I'm sure the price had to, probably influence. Like if they're hitting up a radio DJ, the price was probably different,
way out of their
budget. But I did charge them a lot. I mean, for me, like that was like my first like grand gig that I made, a grand, you know, and it was only a 4-hour gig, so or a 3-hour gig. So, but it was a lot of equipment, but you know, like for me, that was cool. Yeah. And yeah, like I said, I got that gig just kind of given on the fact that because of my ability to like be flexible, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's, being flexible and understanding that you might not have something, but you'll make it happen. I think that's important. And
speaking in solutions, baby. Let's go.
Speaking in solutions, yeah. And you know, it's crazy. I feel like I'm exposing myself here to like my clients for them like being like, oh, this guy doesn't have this and that. But like, I'm sure like to a certain extent they understand that it's like, I'm gonna show up, and the people that I'm gonna recommend is because I know and I've like worked with them, and I know that they're gonna show their level of professionalism. Right. And I might not have it, but me being able to bring that convenience to my clients to go that step further of like, you know, because I could easily be like, oh, no, you know what? I don't know a bartender. I don't know a mariachi. I don't know a taco guy. Right. You know, and then they're just kind of like, you kind of put that extra stress on them and be like, damn, like now I got to go ask and like, hey, do you know this? But like when they come to me and it's like, oh no, I know somebody. Like, don't worry, I got you. Like, shoot me your email or I'll text you a few numbers and
you build a little bit more trust.
Yeah, and here you can call them, you can contact them, and instead of them having to shop around, I already gave them 3 options. They can call them, and if they want to compare prices, whatever, boom, they know.
And then it's kind of also that whole like notion of like what they don't know can't hurt them. You know? So the fact
absolutely.
that like you did all this, and if they didn't, as long as they don't know any different, then it's not a problem. But it's when like you show, like you tell them that you have all this stuff, and then the fucking bartender shows up fucking an hour late, and then what, I don't know if you like have like little rental games, like the cornhole shows up, you know, an hour late too. Then that's a bad representation of you. But if everything shows up and it's all, you know, all your T's are crossed and I's are dotted, then they're not gonna know any different. They're like, cool, that guy fucking he got everything. It was tight, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why I'm like very specific with who it is that I recommend.
Right.
Because it's happened before, you know, like what you were saying.
For the record, guys, I got recommended. What's up? I was on a gig one time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then it got canceled.
Yeah. Oh man, let's not even get into that. That was.
But I mean, I'm cool. I'm glad that I made the list.
No,
you know?
you did.
It sounds like the standards are high.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, but you know, it's happened before where, you know, you'll recommend somebody and then that person just doesn't, you know, for whatever reason, something happened or whatever, and then it kind of does, you know, doesn't look bad. I also always like to let them know that it's like, look, these are like people that I'm recommending you. Like, it's people that I work close with, but that they also understand that it's like, I'm also not like, we're not like associated in any way. You know what I mean? Like, we're just like business type of thing. So they understand that like, oh, you know, DJ Estradation did everything perfect, and maybe his recommendation wasn't the best, but that's okay. I just won't get that person. Yeah, I just won't get that bartender. I just won't get that mariachi anymore. You get me?
I get you.
So they understand. So that's why
you kind of make sure that line is drawn.
Yeah, right. You know, because
like I'm definitely like, I vouch for this person, but if they're fucking up, like,
that's on them. You know, they have their own contract. You're paying them separate. Like, that's what it is. But you know, there is a few people that I'm very selective with, and we do have some packages together. You know, like my boy Mario Visions, an awesome photographer, awesome videographer. So anytime that like somebody's looking for, you know, a DJ with a photo booth and a photographer, like I do have a package, and we've talked prices before, so we tend to like kind of put the prices together. So when somebody asks, they're like, well, how much is it? And we tell them, you know, it's an X amount, but we make sure we let them understand that, look, you're getting a videographer, you're getting a photographer, you're getting a photo booth, you're getting DJ, sound, light, X, you know, so it's just kind of like we have our contract set up already, and they do just pay me, but he already knows his cut. You get what I'm saying? And we're cool with that. So stuff like that. So same thing with bartenders, and many other people that in the industry. But it's just awesome how it's a collaborative thing. You know, it's to a point where I don't even like promote myself to that extent, because it's like I already know that.
You built that reputable name.
And there's people that are going to be like, I know a guy. So like now, like my gigs 50-50 are like somebody recommended me, or somebody saw me at somebody's, you know, event. And then you go to that event, and then they see what you do, and it just keeps growing and growing. So it's like I have 10 years under my belt of like doing that. And, you know, it's crazy how like I still have people that like the neighbor were like, I might not be doing events for my neighbor, but somebody that was at that first gig of me charging $50 is like following me, and it's like, you know, telling me. I have a client, Ana Barrera, who actually was a volunteer while I was in elementary school, and my mom would also volunteer, and he's like friends with my mom, and like she books me for like all her stuff, like, you know what I mean? And like, bro, it's crazy. Like I did like her sister's like quinceañera, and like I did like a few weddings and events for them. Until this day, she tells me like, damn, I remember when me and your mom were volunteering when you were in first grade. You know, so it's like, it just blows my mind that it's like, here is, you know, 26-year-old Eric. He's only been DJing, you know, for like 10, 11 years. And like, he's got people that like since day one are still like supporting him and have seen him grow. And where we're at now. And what I mean by that is like, I have so many ideas that like, I've built like my team to the point where it's like I talk to them and I try to get their insight, you know, because they kind of get an outside perspective. And it's like, what did you see? What would you like to improve? At the photo booth, at other events, you know, that we go to personally, it's like, what would be cool? And we're always throwing ideas, and we're always looking for the next best thing.
That's good, man.
You know,
that's a good way to conduct yourself, and that's what I like. You know what? Oh, I don't want to forget this. So there's 3 things that I should have had a fucking pen.
Get it on. Wait. Want to borrow my phone? So you can write it in notes.
Yeah, you know what? Let me do that before I forget my.
Because then I want to keep it in my notes.
Let's see. I don't want to. I don't want to forget.
Let's go.
Let me see. Okay, so.
This water break is brought to you by DJ Estradation.
And wait, okay. That and then. Wait, what was the last thing you said right now? What was the last thing you were talking about?
About like telling my team, like, hey, like I asked them, like, what do you think we can do? What can be better? Like, I get their opinion, to see how we can take it to the next level.
Yeah, okay, so these are two questions that I want to incorporate in the podcast, probably from now on, or at least for a while, because it kind of it interests me. But on that note, like when somebody, so I do private lessons here at my house every once in a while, and so I had a student come over recently, and he was talking to me about firing off a bunch of questions, but. I told him he asked me if I could give like two pieces of advice, and like the most important things that I like have learned or something that I've like kind of reiterate all the time is like two things, and that's one that there's some gigs that you're reminded why you get paid for, and there's some gigs that you can't believe you're getting paid for, and I've explained this multiple times. I'm pretty sure you understand what that is exactly. And then the other one is the importance of every time you DJ or every time you do an event, you should be learning something. And if you didn't learn anything, then you weren't like paying attention enough.
Right.
Because I can guarantee that there was something that happened that can be like learned from, whether it's you showing up later, whether it's you playing this song in this order, or not playing so-and-so's verse or whatever. Like there's something, and if you didn't learn anything, then you weren't paying attention enough, and every time you DJ, if you're constantly growing like that, that's going to make you that much better. And I can honestly, like, I really feel it, especially now that like I've been DJing so regularly at Guacamigos, like I really feel that like because of my frequency of DJing every weekend, but also the importance of like not like just being like, oh, I did that last weekend, I'll just do that next weekend too. It's always been like, that was dope, how can I make that better? Or that was dope, but I hated when I played this thing, I didn't have this edit, so I'm gonna make this edit this week. And like I'll take those notes home with me, and I fine tune it, and I'm constantly fine tuning it. And so that's good that you're constantly doing that too, and that's how we stay sharp.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And okay, so yeah, the notes are in there.
Okay, so let me know when we need this.
Yeah. So, if it's cool, I would like to talk to the other hot topic that we didn't get to. Pandemic is going on. Yeah. You had COVID.
Yes, sir.
So is that cool? We talk about that.
Let's go ahead, man. Yeah, we have to.
Yeah. So, you'll go ahead and explain like how long ago it was and all this stuff.
So man. Unfortunately, I got COVID. Disclaimer: no, it wasn't during a gig. No, it wasn't nothing DJ related. Thank God.
That's good. That's good that you said that. Right?
No, it was nothing DJ related.
People like, see, that guy's fucking been doing gigs. That's what he gets.
Yeah, man. So this happened back in April, the beginning of April, right when we had just gotten lockdown. We had. We got locked down like towards the end of March.
Right.
I remember we had like 1 week, and then like they're like LA, California is closed. Everybody stay home. And it was like a weird time.
March,
So I'm working a part time, which I'm still actually working a little part time at a credit union.
Right.
I had gone full time on DJing, meaning I only worked Friday, Saturday, or when I had a gig.
Right.
So Monday through Friday, when there was no gig, I was just at home chilling, doing nothing, working on projects, here and there. So it got a little boring, So I picked up a little part time, towards the end of February. So I started working in that, and fast forward to the beginning of April, April 3rd to be exact. we were leading up to my sister's birthday, which is on April 4th. And a lot of things were going on at work. A lot of people were worried. It was around the time when people are going crazy around toilet. Remember toilet paper?
Yeah.
Bro, everybody's like buying toilet paper and like it's going crazy.
It's kind of funny too, because like, dude, this episode will probably be like a very important episode, like from down the line.
Oh,
this
absolutely.
Is only like. This is a current like document of like a fucking pandemic.
We're still going through it. Like we are August 6, 2020.
Like this is our live
We're
journal
like
right
4 months and like a half into the pandemic, and like there's still all these things unfolding, bro.
Yeah,
like everything
that are
that's
happening
happened
for their first time.
Since the shutdown up until, but it's funny how like people were going crazy for the toilet paper, right?
Yeah.
There was no hand sanitizer, no Clorox wipes.
Right.
You would go through something like it was crazy what was going on, right?
It's a crazy world.
So yeah, man, it was around that time. So trying to take care of my family, mom, dad. I'm still living with them, sister.
Right.
I was the one that was kind of stepping up, trying to like go out to the market, go to work and whatnot. So I can't really pinpoint if it was at work, if it was at the market.
Well, we're pretty sure it was from work.
But yeah, we still weren't required to wear a mask. They were just telling us, wash your hands, stay home, wash your hands, stay home. So I'm going to the markets, I'm going to work. We're not wearing masks. We're not none of that. So anyways, that happened. And, we drank really hard for my sister's birthday on the 4th.
Yeah.
Sunday, I obviously wake up with a hangover. And then it's Monday, and I'm still feeling like crap. And I'm like, okay, this is not a hangover.
Yeah.
And it's like Tuesday, and I'm just feeling like shit, like something I've never felt before.
Right.
I'm feeling a chest congestion. I'm having all these high fevers.
Oh,
I'm just not feeling well, man.
Right.
And right away, I'm like, this is not the flu, man. Like, I've never felt like this. Like, I remember taking Advil, and the fever's going down, but still feeling shitty, still feeling that chest congestion, still feeling the headache, the body aches. It's like, what is going on? So I'm obviously calling off work all those days, and I'm letting them know, like, you know what, like, I'm feeling the symptoms. This is what's going on. So work's like, you got to go get tested. So yeah, I go to the test site. I make an appointment. Luckily, they had just made testing free and available for all LA residents. I go that Wednesday. And from that Wednesday to Wednesday, which is 7 days, I didn't get my results, but I'm feeling crappy, bro. Like, still taking Advil, still having the fevers. And it got to a point where, like, we didn't even risk it to get the results and be like, this might be COVID. We were like, my family was like, we're going to treat this like COVID.
Yeah.
Because hearing how, like, people were passing away, people were on ventilators, seeing how the whole world had stopped.
Yeah.
We're talking at the beginning where, like, literally the whole world stopped.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't only, like, I felt like we were, like, the United States was, like, the last one to kind of be, like, on lockdown. And hearing what's going on in New York, hearing what's going on in Florida. But even before that, like, this stuff was going on since October of last year.
Yeah.
And, in China and in Europe and whatnot. And then finally it's in the United States. And everybody's on lockdown, and I'm going through those symptoms. It was scary, man. So we were like, we're not gonna take any risk. They literally locked my parents, my sister. We locked myself. I locked myself in my room for 2 weeks. I couldn't go downstairs. It was only like, I'm gonna go to the restroom, do my business, shower, and then I gotta go back to my room. I didn't feel like eating. It was terrible, man. It was hard. Thank God, I guess I have a good immune system that I was able to beat it, but I didn't get my results for like 12 days, man, to finally find out that I was positive for COVID. But when I got the results, I was already feeling better. So in order for me to go back to work, obviously I needed to go back to
get tested.
Get tested. So I went to go get tested. Obviously, I guess they figured out a way to get tests faster. I was finally negative. I didn't want to say anything until I had those negative results, until I knew that I was safe and that my family was safe before I really said anything, which is when I went public in it, because a lot of people were asking. I try to be consistent in social media to a certain extent.
Right.
Like posting the positive quotes every morning. On the weekends, posting how my days go as far as gigs, setting up, breaking down, the aftermath.
What's up, everybody? It's DJ Estradation.
Yeah. So, that's how I always start my stuff.
Buddy.
And so I disappeared for like a good 3 weeks.
I be watching.
Yeah, you be watching. So I disappeared. And so people are like taking notice of like, what is going on? Like, is he okay? The people that did reach out, I right away told them like, I'm like, hey, don't say anything, but dude, I got COVID. I got COVID.
Yeah,
You know?
I didn't know until you
until
announced
I
it
went
pretty
public.
much. Yeah.
So you know that happened, and I was just like, damn, like it was a scary time. It was a scary moment. And then luckily, you know, during that time, then that's when they started saying like wear a mask, you know. But it was like I got it when people are going crazy over toilet paper. We're not all required to wear masks. You know, they're shutting everything down. So like, fast forward to like where we are today, like I'm kind of glad that we're like taking those precautions and doing that.
Right.
I'd like to backtrack a little bit and say that. So because I was one of the early, you know,
Cases.
Yeah. They did ask me, the LA County Health Department asked me like, yo, like, is it okay if we like study you? You know, like, you know, to a certain extent, like that's what they basically said.
Yeah.
And by what I mean by that is like they got blood tests, obviously taken to see antibodies, how they works, how the plasma and all that works. So like I'm in like a database where they're like, okay, Eric is 26 years old. He's a Latino. He weighs this much.
Yeah.
Like, let's compare it to like other Latinos the same age.
Yeah.
And you know, and all that. So I'm in like database. And so like, you know, they're constantly doing blood tests. They want to know how long, you know, after you get COVID, how long the antibodies stay in your body. You get what I'm saying? So like constantly getting blood tests, you know, tests and whatnot done, just to figure out, because it's a new.
So wait, are they still testing you?
Yes.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So it's like because they want to know, like, because.
So when's the last time you got like tested or whatever?
So we're in August or July, towards the end of July, which was a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's to a point where.
They have you donating blood,
right? And they just want to know too, like.
And so as of July, you still have the antibodies.
Yes.
Yeah.
So because there's been a lot of testing results where, believe it or not, like after 2-3 months, people are still like they don't have the antibodies no more, meaning they can get exposed to it. So it's like they're trying to figure out.
You're on like what month are you technically on?
So
like
fourth month.
Oh,
fourth month.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because it was April. So April, May, June, July.
Yeah.
You know, now we're like August.
Oh yeah.
So fourth month.
So your immune shot's about to expire. So,
So like, that's what they're trying to figure out. So I'm like still like, you know, obviously I'm still taking precautions because believe it or not, I might not be able to get it in my system, but I may still carry it in my hands or whatever, my clothes, wherever I touch it, and I can go home, and my sister can still be exposed to it, my mom and my dad. So I still, I'm still doing gigs. You guys can lecture me as much as you want, but I've gone through COVID. I know how much it sucks. And even though I still cannot get it, because I can still carry it, I still take 110% precautions, washing my hands. I always have hand sanitizer. We wear masks during our events.
Bro, that's that whole conversation, bro, is a fucking mess.
Yeah, absolutely.
I haven't touched it, and I don't want to because it's just. Man, it's just so many things that someone could argue about it, and it goes either way, you know. Like people can condemn you for gigging, but then you know they won't like say anything about going out to eat.
Or going to the market.
And I mean, and
going to Marshalls because. Specific stores or retail stores are still open. Target.
You could argue it any type of which way, you know, whatever. You're like, oh, well, that's essential, and this is essential. And like I said, I haven't even tried to fucking tackle that thing, you know. And I'm just doing kind of like what needs to get done on my end.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, well.
COVID sucks, bro.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah. Bottom line stuff. If anyone's listening and, you know, I mean, I would say, I mean, at the bare minimum, take your precautions, you know, and it's not even asking a lot, like wearing a mask and
washing your hands,
that's not hard to do at all. Yeah. You know, even when I DJ on the weekends at Guac, like I'm doing that. And, or actually, I will stand corrected. Like I show up with my mask, and then whenever I use the facility, I use my mask. But when I DJ and I don't wear my mask.
You don't have to because people don't really walk up to you.
The reason being is, because I'm like 20 feet away from everybody, you know, like there's no, and then all the staff are wearing masks, so all their like germs are staying within them, even if they like pass by me. So I'm cool, you know. A lot of people like. Fortunately, I haven't got any like hate mail where people are like, "You fucking asshole," blah blah, you know. But like you said, COVID sucks.
Yeah. I got it. It sucked. You definitely feel it. You know, you've gone through the flu, you've gone through a cold. But what really made it different, at least for me, They talk about the same symptoms, right? That it's flu-like symptoms, right? But I think what really stood out for me and really made it suck that I knew it was COVID was the chest congestion. I'm not a smoker. So for me to be out of breath and feeling like there's something in my lungs sucked. Yeah. Literally just standing up and trying to go to the restroom like would sometimes take me 20 minutes just because it's like when I got to the restroom, I'm out of breath. And you're trying to breathe and you're like, you can only imagine like those stories where they say like that people are in a ventilator. I'm like, now I know why they're in a ventilator because I'm like, if it literally takes me that long to get to the restroom and I'm like already having trouble breathing, what about those people that do smoke or those people that do have secondary problems with their health, whether it's diabetes, whatever it is, high blood pressure, low blood pressure, can you imagine adding what I'm going through in another body with with other stuff. So it's brutal, man. It's brutal. So I was able to beat it. Here I am. Again, I take the precautions necessary. I take this shit seriously. I think everybody should take it seriously for whatever it is. Man, it sucks. But even beyond COVID, for those that got it like me, it sucked. But I feel like every single person in this world, whether they got it or not, like they all went through some shit, they're all going through something. Like I'm sure you had things that you wanted to do. I'm pretty sure a lot of my friends, a lot of my family, we had plans to do something, but because of COVID, like here we are today, we've all learned to adapt to this new life. And whether you believe it or not, just fucking wear a mask, just wash your hands, just put on the hand sanitizer, just be conscious about, about those other people. We're going to get through this, man. You know, we really are. Everybody says it. It's like we're beating the fucking horse, because everybody keeps repeating it. Beating a dead horse because we keep repeating it. It's like, we're going to get through this. We are going to get through this. We really are. But what's next? I don't know, man. It's been weird times.
And just, you just got to take it day by day.
Day by day.
Like you can't, none of us can predict the future. So, that's definitely been the motivation behind me is like, I assume like when all this shit like got locked down and the bars started closing and shit, and I started talking to people about how long it usually takes on average to create a vaccine and how long it would take to like distribute that. I was like, all right, well in that case, with all this information, the year is done.
The year's done.
We're
Absolutely.
not fucking we're not gonna reopen, and so then that's kind of why like I did what I needed to do, like as far as getting the job, and right now I'm enjoying the gigs that I have. I don't know how long how sustainable that is. But I will tell you this much is that I have been definitely like utilizing that. Like, unlike most of the people that have been getting fucking unemployment, every week, I'm making a good chunk of change, I'll say, on the weekends, and with that money, I've been stashing it already. I've been saving it. I've been paying down credit cards. I paid off one credit card already. I still have two, but those fortunately they're like the balance transfer, so there's like no interest. So
and eventually
I'm gonna start paying those down too with the time that I have, But yeah, man, I pretty much kind of like assumed the worst, I think there's a phrase in that. I don't know what the fucking how it goes, but it's like, prepare for the worst and then whatever, but pretty much you prepare for the worst, but even if it's not that bad, at least you were prepared.
At least you were prepared,
and you don't leave yourself without it, know. So that's pretty much how I already like. Once everything went down, I was like, okay, this is what's going on in my head, and this is what I need to prepare for, And it's all the notion where it's like it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So I'd rather have that money set aside and be prepared than And then the beauty of it too, right now, people, is that there's not a lot of FOMO going on because everybody's doing the same shit. Like maybe there's people that are going out to some things, little things, but there's nothing really that big going on that you have to go to or that's even allowed. Like there's no fucking party or club that's like going on and you're like, fuck, all my friends are gonna be there. So it is a beautiful time. I mean, I will backstep and say that it's a bittersweet, and there's a silver lining, and the silver lining is the fact that you have the ability to do something like that I'm doing, or like fucking save a bunch of money and take a dope ass trip next year when everything's
whenever
cool.
you can,
and I mean with the amount of money that you would have right now for the months that we're like like inside, shit, you would have a fucking dope ass vacation.
Oh,
You
yeah,
would
yeah.
easily have like 1,500 for if not more. I mean, yeah, I mean, I feel like I was spending on average at least, we'll just say bare minimum, like $100 a week going out. Because
Just going out,
I
right?
love going out. I'm not gonna lie.
Food, drinks, sometimes a cover charge, and it adds up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like the bare minimum,
Yeah.
like and that's given, you're buying drinks for yourself and
Yeah.
not someone else as well, So that definitely adds up real quick. But $400, let's just say bare minimum $400 a month,
In 4
times
months?
3, that's $1,200
Or,
at least,
yeah.
Yeah.
In the
Or
4 months,
yeah,
in the
yeah,
4
yeah.
months we've been quarantined, like
Yeah.
you do that 4 times
1,600?
4 is 1,600, bro.
That's a vacation. That's
Yeah,
a dope ass
literally.
vacation,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I definitely wanted to iterate that part. Like, don't. I know it is hard and it's hard not to stress about it. But if you can really like take it for what it is and do what needs to get done, and it'll pass. Like we said,
Yeah.
it's time. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, go ahead.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say that I think it's important to emphasize that it's good to have that hope, right? We all have that hope of saying like it's gonna get better eventually. It's gonna get better eventually. But I think at this point, like we have to understand that at least for the rest of the year,
Yeah.
like there's gonna be like no hall events. There's gonna be like no Universal. I mean,
Right.
it's like. Why would they be canceling the Rose Parade already? When we're like 4 months away from it, you get what I'm saying? Like, why would they cancel Halloween Horror Nights?
Yeah.
Why would they cancel or delay opening up Disneyland?
Yeah.
Right? Because we kind of know that like in order for life to go back to normal, it's like we eventually have to either find a vaccine or we have to like completely get rid of COVID. So it's like
Yes.
we've adapted to this new life. Just
Yeah.
wear your mask, wash your hands. I'm pretty sure eventually they're going to like reduce like the amount of like restrictions that we have in
sure.
place, which is fine. But you're still gonna have to be wearing a mask. You
Yeah.
still have to wash your hands. You still have to, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's like
a lot of people,
yeah.
there's, I don't know what the actual terminology is for like the psychology of things, but it's like, there's like eight stages of like when someone's like gonna die.
Yeah.
Like there's like, and it's not to say that you guys gonna die, but,
Right.
but there's like 8 stages. There's like a acknowledgement, there's like denial, there's like all these things, right? And I think an important thing of right now is like, is acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Like acknowledge that there's an issue and, given whatever the logic is behind it, however it was created or whatever, just understand that this is here.
Yeah.
And, like I said, just, fucking buckle in. I think it is especially hard right now because it's fucking summer. If this shit was going in the winter, like, man, I genuinely think that if this was going in the winter, it would probably be like half as bad, maybe even like less than that, because in the winter we all just stay inside.
Yeah, people get snowed in other states.
There's
and yeah.
not a lot of necessity to go out, but summer is like prime time. Fucking get the fuck outside and go have fun. And
Beaches,
I know
parties,
for sure I love
traveling,
summer,
yeah.
man, and this is killing me for sure.
I'm sure,
It's killing me. But the fucking do-over, I'm missing the do-over. But yeah, I mean, like you said, like we just gotta wait it out,
Yeah, that's it. Just wait it out.
And then do whatever you can in the meantime, so work on other things that you can, don't worry about the things you can't change and worry about the things you can. So whether that's starting a podcast or fucking working on some Twitch stream stuff or, whatever it is, like maneuvering, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's pull up those questions I wanted to ask you.
Let's go. Let's
Yeah.
see. Basin. Bro, I'm like seeing the time and I'm like, I still can't believe that it's that time.
I don't know how long have we been going?
I don't know. Like I started with my set like at around 5:30.
Oh, we're not that bad. We're not 3 hours in, bro. That ain't shit.
That's it. That's nothing.
We ain't no Juan Castro. Juan, love you, brother. But we're honestly, after these things, we're pretty much done.
Okay.
So I did want to ask. This is an interesting thing that I had a conversation with my buddy recently when we went on a hike. Are there? Let's just say, do you have 3 artists? And I'm curious. Like, I want to talk to more DJs about this question. But do you have at least 3 artists that, because of like who you are, you kind of have to play them every time you play?
Oh, okay.
So for instance, I'll give you my answers. So mine are Drake, Chris Brown, and Beyonce. And it's not like I absolutely fucking have to. But more like I'd say 95% of the time, you're gonna hear me play at least one of the songs from those artists.
Okay.
And that's even to the extent of like, even if I do like a house set, I might get like a remix
You get a
of one
remix,
of those
right? I
artists.
got one of those,
Like
okay.
I'll figure out a way to incorporate this, and that's because I'm a fan of their music. I really really like their music, and it was interesting because I talked to somebody, and I mean it finally came out that they don't really like the music currently.
Okay.
But they said like no, they don't have any artists like they just play whatever they want to play, but they don't have an artist really that they feel like, you know, that they support like that. Because I feel like for me doing that, it's kind of like I this is my way of showing support, you know, of this artist.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever do you do that?
Yeah, I think it depends on like where you're at. You know, if you were to ask me this question like 4 years ago, like I wouldn't mention Bad Bunny, I wouldn't mention J Balvin. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. But like if we're talking like now, like definitely Bad Bunny, you know, J Balvin. Why? Because it's like, dude, they got club bangers, and literally like it's one of those songs where, you know, any other songs that you play, like it's gonna get somebody up and dancing, you know.
But you don't have someone that's like that you've been rocking with for a while, like that, like for instance, like Chris Brown, bro. I've been rocking with Chris Brown since
just because
early on.
90% of my events are in Spanish. Like and by Spanish, Latin, I mean like Mexican, like
Right.
cumbias and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I'll definitely have to say Selena.
Okay, I was kind of expecting
Yeah,
that. With
you know,
the-
like
the
Selena
whole
only
Spanish,
because like
preset thing.
every time I play like Bidi Bidi Bam Bam, you know, Como la Flor,
Yeah.
Baila esta cumbia, like it's a must for me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I always play Selena cumbias. Like
Yeah, that's a good example.
those are
Yeah.
like must play, must you know be there. Another artist that or not an artist but a band is called Banda MS.
Yeah.
I don't know if they just actually
I know-
also
I
released
know.
a song with Snoop Dogg.
I know who they are.
Yeah, Banda MS, and
Yeah.
check out the song with Snoop Dogg. So it's
Okay.
kind of cool how like Snoop Dogg, you know, Long Beach, West Coast, you
Yeah.
know, whatnot, with like Banda MS, like literally a Mexican band from like Mazatlan, Sinaloa, which is like it's wild, you know. And they
Right.
like collaborated, and the song's a banger, bro.
Right.
So Banda MS, even before Snoop Dogg, like their music, like they not only have songs that you can dance to, you know, like El Mechon and stuff like that, but they also have love songs that like a lot of couples, weddings, quinceañeras, like if you play during dinner or even like father daughter or like first dance, like they have those songs. So definitely Banda MS. And then I think just like in a more like general sense, I'll probably have to say like La Sonora Dinamita, like you know what I mean, like
Yeah, and-
it's like must.
So the cool thing about that is like I feel like, you know, this is a part of your brand and people start to associate that too.
Yeah.
Like I feel like people like, and the kind of the reason that this question came about was because when I was DJing at Guacamigos, I was playing and there was a big table of like gay guys, and
Okay.
they made it apparent. It wasn't my assumption. Like they actually came up to
Right.
me, like a guy came up to me and he's like oh, what did he? Oh, he's like, oh, you should come. He's like, first of all, he's like, you're amazing, and he's like, you should come hang out with us. And I was like, oh, well, I'm working. He's like, yeah. I mean, honestly, it's just a bunch of gay dudes. Like this is verbatim. He's like, this is a bunch of gay dudes. But my friend, she's single and she's straight. You know, so you should hang out with her. And I was like, I love to, you know, but I'm DJing, I can't really get over there. But I mean, if I get a chance, I definitely will. And she's like, or the guys, I said she, and the guy's like, he says, he's like, and you're not gay, right? And I'm like, oh no, I'm straight. And then he's like, but you're like cool with gays. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't got no beef, you know? He's like, oh no, because, you know, like, I just feel like you're playing a lot of like gay music, so but we appreciate
gotcha.
that, you know?
Yeah.
But the funny thing was when I thought about it, I was like, this is the normal set that I would play, you know? So like, I think, you know, people would, not, like for him, he probably associates me like, oh, that's a dude guy that kind of plays like gay friendly. But if you just heard me like on my normal set, like I incorporate those artists, and I think, you know, Beyonce is like a gay, you know, air quote, like gay artist, right? Or like
a lot of the gay community loves Beyonce,
embrace Beyonce a lot. But I genuinely love Beyonce's music.
Okay.
So like I could go down a list of like 6 songs at least, you know, that Beyonce has that I feel like are applicable, and I can usually make them applicable like at any event that I do, you know. So it's just interesting, you know, like it's interesting because I think whenever you hear somebody, you might notice that. Like for instance, like I could think of like whenever I hear Jazzy Jeff, I hear him play Africa by Toto a lot, like an old 80s song.
Yeah.
But I associate that song with him like big time. I feel like he plays that a lot. But that's probably his little thing. Like, okay, like this is me putting my personal flavor on it. And, you know, maybe just knowing that it could like help you too. You know, like understanding like how do you want people to think of you. And now that I think about it, whenever I like those artists that I'm saying, they're like kind of poppy, they're R&B, and they're like very dance friendly. That's like how I would like define those artists, you know. So that's kind of, and that's usually kind of like, you know, in some sense that's kind of how I play too. Like I like to make people dance, and those artists, you know, are definitely heavy like with the dance culture,
right?
You know.
Yeah.
Interesting, right?
Yeah, no, I get you. Yeah. Now that you're bringing it up, like, yeah, those are like, even before like J Balvin and before, you know, all those artists, like even going back to, talking back to like when I started DJing, like Selena was like one of the first, you know, artists that I like started playing because like I was very familiar with the movie, you know, and then the songs. And so when I was getting into cumbia and all that stuff, it was like Selena, you know, Banda Mese.
Right.
So like La Sonora Dinamita, like, you know, these groups that are like must play like at a Latin party, you know, that'll get everybody dancing. And we're not even talking about like the older folks, because even like if I hear La Sonora Dinamita, if I hear Selena, you know what I mean, like I'm up and I'm dancing, because it's like those are the cumbias that like our parents played, so like that, or like our, you know, older folks played, you know, for those of us that are like Latin. So I'm pretty sure if you're like, you know, whatever race, ethnicity you are, I'm sure there's like artists and songs that like you associate from way back. And when you listen to them to a party, you're like, oh yeah, like that's it. And like you might not be as old as, you know, the people that show you that song, but like when you go to parties, you're like, oh yeah, I know how to get down with this, you know? So it's like, those definitely would be those.
What okay, so the other question in there is like what type of advice would you give someone that's like early? No, actually, I'll just say DJ advice. You can direct it towards a younger person or someone of our age, but you know, you can gear it however you would like. But maybe what's like, you know, if you got to give like two pieces of like advice, or even if you just have one, whatever, what would you say, or what would you tell somebody that or even like if there's anything that I just said out of these 3 hours, it would be blah.
Yeah, I think, a few things I would like to say. And then not only just applying it to just DJing, but just in general. I would say be unique. And by unique, I feel like all of us to a certain extent are unique. We're all unique individuals. We all have different upbringings. So don't be afraid to be yourself. Right. Because being yourself is already unique in a way. And as you go along in life, like you're going to figure out that, you know, who you are, what improvements you're going to want to make. There's going to be a lot of tough situations as well. But be you, be unique. And don't allow those setbacks to kind of distract you from what it is that you want to do, right? Before I wanted to be a DJ, I wanted to be this famous soccer player, you know, and it didn't happen, right? But once I found what it is that I wanted, I became that, right, which was a DJ, and I wanted to, you know, bring my personality into it, and I wanted to be unique. And so I found what made me unique, what made me stand out, and, you know, I mean, if I'm being completely honest, what really makes me stand out is I'm just being myself. You know, everything that life taught me, I'm just being me, and I just apply it every day, whether it's DJing or whatever it is that I'm doing. I'm just being me, and I'm just being unique. So definitely be unique. I would say second piece of advice was always do your best. Always try your best, you know? I feel like...
Yes, sir. I agree with that one.
Yeah.
Always, which is mine would be like, I always give 1,000.
Yeah, always give 1,000. Yeah. I feel like we tend to try to get, let me rephrase it a little bit. We try to be something that we're not. Again, going back to like we're not being true to ourselves. We're not being unique. We're not being ourselves. So we try to be somebody else, and that tends to just kind of get frustrating. So we don't always do our best. So be yourself, be unique, and, you know, always try your best. So with whatever it is that you have, I feel like right now more than ever in this pandemic, we're all in the same playing field, all of us. Because we all have the same restrictions. We all have that. So with whatever time that you have, like, try your best with whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, whether that's DJing, whether that's your business, like you were saying, podcasting, whatever.
Right.
Do your best.
Right.
Do your research. When I was like I was explaining, I was doing a lot of YouTube videos. I was learning on my own. I was asking, and I think that's what I'll end it with. So be unique, be yourself. Always do your best, and ask questions. I feel like that's important.
Yeah.
Asking questions. Not everybody knows everything.
Right.
But to the point where I got it was asking questions.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do this? How do you do that? When you were doing OBS, what did you do? You asked me a question.
Yes, sir.
Right? And what did I do? I tried to the best of my ability, being me, being unique, to answer that question. Mm-hmm. Right? And I'm sure you probably asked other people and and you go and you figured it out, right?
Yes, sir.
And I feel like when you put those three together, being yourself, doing your best, and asking questions, you're going to get to that point.
Yeah.
For whatever it is that you're looking for.
Yeah.
DJing, in life, whatever it is, those would probably be the three pieces of advice that I give.
Dope.
Yeah.
Dope. And then lastly, of course, how can, if anybody, resonated with any of the material that was gone over in these past couple hours, what's the best way that they can show some love or support you or help you if any of those things?
Oh, absolutely.
Whether it's, following you on Instagram or whether it's coming to you at a gig. I mean, not like there's any recent gigs coming up soon, but or tuning in to a live stream, whatever way. Yeah. What way is some way could help you?
Definitely. I say just follow me on social media. And all my social media tags are the same. It's at DJ Estradation. That's DJESTRADATION. So it's basically DJ Estrada TION at the end of it. But I'm a person that likes to help people.
Yes, sir.
I feel like this podcast, I've never gotten this deep. I've never really told my life story. So a lot of people just kind of see that, this DJ, he does this. This is really cool. But they don't know the struggle that I went through to kind of get where I'm at. Yeah. So I definitely would like to chop it up with other people, whether it's they want to book me for DJing and whatnot, or get recommendations for stuff. Get some type of guidance and whatever it is. Mm-hmm. I feel like I've gone through a lot and I've gone through enough to be able to speak,
on behalf of it.
From experience as well.
Yes,
so
sir.
Reach out, whatever it is, at DJ Estradation, and I would definitely love to. As you can see, me and Wally like to talk. I mean, we went almost 3.5 hours talking in this podcast.
Yes,
definitely
sir.
Reach out. I feel like me, you, we're both cool people.
Yeah.
I just love and commend the DJ community. For what it is.
Yeah.
I feel like there's we don't look at it as competition, but we like to more so on it's just like a family where it's like you were mentioning how I send you gigs. I have people that send me gigs. I have other people that I send gigs, recommend them. We all praise each other in a certain way. And it's like we all just show love. And I just love the DJ community. So ladies, don't freaking think that we're DJs and we get all these girls and all that. One thing I do miss from the pandemic is getting what's it called? Getting curved by girls at the club? Nah, just kidding. Getting swerved. And I just want to dance with my friends. Oh my goodness. But definitely reach out at DJ Estradation. I would definitely appreciate the love and see what I have to offer. I spoke about it, but when you see it visually, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to see what we talked about as far as where I started and where we're at now.
Yeah, man, that's a wholehearted answer. And I appreciate that. And I really appreciate you, man. And I love the fact that, this podcast thing, I really miss this. And it's dope to create this, I'll listen to other podcasts. And I think that recently I listened to some other ones and it really kind of got me in my whole, bro, that's exactly why you need to do yours. I like these ones, but they don't do what this one does.
What this is doing, right.
It's very rare that they're diving this deep, that they're going into all these other realms, and so I really do love this, and because of the fact that for whatever reason, being you the person that you are, or me, whether it's me extracting the right questions, whatever the reason is, I just really love the material that gets covered on this thing.
Agree.
So thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. From behind the booth, this was episode 29, and I'm gonna try to keep it consistent. I know that with this whole pandemic thing, it really has thrown a wrench in things. So I don't know if I'm gonna start doing more Zoom fucking calls or whatever, but because the Zoom calls are like an hour and we just talked for
Right.
3. But regardless, I want to continue doing this and don't think I forgot about you guys. And so hopefully, like I said, I'm just gonna continue and keep the episodes coming and you know educate and share the love as much as I can.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Wally, from behind the booth. Shout out to everybody. Everybody take care. Be safe. Be well.
Peace out.